A slow whirler, going to be a tough play. Hunsley, bare hands on the bounce, a throw. He got him. What a play from Grayson Hunsley on the bare hand.
It's time for Post-8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Post-8 Baseball is brought to you by Comtech, True Green Camelon, Edward Jones Financial, Overhead Door, Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Yay Gare, AGE, First Fidelity, and State Farm Becky Potsuba Agency.
This will be flown out by Charlie Simpson out to left field. Going back, it is gone! Charlie Simpson hits a two-run home run, and it's a 3-2 ball game.
Post-8 Baseball is also brought to you by Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota, Oahe Federal Credit Union, Missouri River Dentistry, Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping, Agtegra, Farting Electric, Envirotech, and Kruger Climate Systems.
Here's a line shot out and towards left center field, diving and making the catch out in center is Sutton Sun and Shine. And a tip of the cap from the head coach.
Post-8 Baseball is also brought to you by Stalkin Peterson LLP, Wagner Auto, the South Dakota Office of Attorney General, Division of Consumer Protection, Gales Gas, First United Methodist Church, Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction, Beck Motors, and May Adam.
Gets with a fly ball to left field. That one is going back to the wall. It's out of here. A 3-run homer for Dawson Getz. And it's a 4-0 lead for the Eights.
And by American Family Insurance Brittany Schaffelbein Agency, Lamb Motors, Bank West, CHS River Plains, Faith Lutheran Church, Graham Tire, Kathy's Sun and Shine Properties, Venture Communications, and the American of Fort Pierre. And now, Post-8 Baseball on KCCR.
Streaming and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was to bear. Oh, Saint as that star-spangled banner yet wave. Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, before Yankton takes the field,
Beautiful playing of our national anthem, and with that, we welcome you to the Watertown Baseball Stadium. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another very special presentation of Pierre Post-8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Today, we are live in Watertown once again as Post-8 puts their 2025 Legion Baseball season on the line against a team they have not yet met in 2025. It's 6th-seeded Pierre Post-8 up against the 2nd-seeded Yankton Post-12. Dylan Simmons on the call with you, and welcome back to the Watertown Baseball Stadium, where there is no rest for Post-8 as they are now backed into their biggest wall of the 2025 season. Today, all the blood, sweat, and tears they have poured into this journey for Post-8 will come together for what could be their biggest challenge thus far this season. Last night, it was a devastating defeat for Post-8, who would fall after putting up a heck of a fight against the host team, Watertown Post-17, in a 7-inning slobber knocker. However, despite their best efforts, Post-8 would spell their own doom with untimely errors and crucial mistakes down the stretch to take what was a 2-2 tie and turn it into a 5-2 loss. Now, with everything at stake, frustration must become fuel for this Post-8 team in order to keep their story from reaching its final chapter. Meanwhile, Yankton, they probably didn't expect to be here. Entering as the number 2 seeded team in the state tournament, they had every reason to think they would be making a deep run, but yesterday, an 8-0 shutout loss to Harrisburg completed that, kept that from happening, and now they've got to try to find a way to rebound today against this post-state team. As I mentioned, these two teams, they have not yet met this season, only adding intrigue for this matchup. However, the motto for both should be simple. I don't want to go home yet. That is what we're about to discover. And we're going to take you right into the action as we are just about set to get this game underway. Post-state, much like last night, will be starting things off with Carter Shufflebine. Shufflebine, of course, one of the best batters this season for Pierre Post-state. Generated a number of walks last night, and he'll be looking to do more of the same, along with some hits here in the elimination game between 6th-seeded Pierre and 2nd-seeded Yankton. It's never been more important than right now. We're underway. Shovelbein, chopper to third. Throw to first will be low, but in time. Nicely done by Samuel Goki, getting it over to Matthew Sheldon for the 5-3, and that is out one quickly against Pierre Post-8. Taking a look at the defensive lineup, for Yankton, Beck Reichen is the man on the mound. Owen Washon is the second baseman. Matthew Sheldon is the first baseman. Tate Bestie is the shortstop. Samuel Goki is the third baseman. And we've got Gavin Johnson behind the plate. Easton Fester is in right field. Evan Sirk is in center field. And Trey Sager is in left field. This is Dawson Getz at the plate. Lets a pitch go by. It counts for a ball, or rather a strike, and the count's 0-1. Here's a low hit ball towards center, picked up by the second baseman. He throws on to first for out number 2. Owen Washon there to clean that one up for a 4-3, and just like that, too quickly away here in the top half of the first inning. Beck Reichen so far this season with 28 2/3 innings pitched, a 4-2 record, 15 earned runs allowed, 12 strikeouts overall, and a 3.66 earned run average. So one of the best that Yankton has at their disposal. That pitch comes in high for Charlie Simpson, who just was able to get out of the way. Count goes to 1-0. Post-state trying to get the first hit of the game right here. Simpson lets this one go by, and it goes for ball number 2. So far, Post-state has been able to make contact off of Reichen's pitches, but they haven't been able to send them towards the far point of the outfield. And that is a strike. Count goes to 2-1. Nice upstairs breaking ball by Beck Reichen. Simpson decided not to go for it that time. 2-1 pitch. That's well outside for ball 3. Count at 3-1. Post-state now 22-15 on the season. Trying to get win number 23 and their first win in the state tournament since at least 2022. Simpson fouls it into the netting, and the count goes full, 3-2. Simpson had an up and down night last night. Post-state, as an offense, was lackluster by their standards, just one hit overall, but it's a new day and a new game. Simpson with a chopper to third. Here's the throw by Goki. It's going to be away from the bag, and Simpson has got an avenue to second. He runs past first. He's going to stand up on his way to second base, and Post-state with a runner in scoring position after the missed throw by Samuel Goki to Matthew Sheldon. So Charlie Simpson able to advance to second on that missed throw by Goki, and Post-state all of a sudden an inning that was looking a little bit lackluster is turned around for him. Cooper Terwilliger will be the next man up, and he's been very solid in these situations in the past when it comes to driving runs in. 20 runs batted in on the season, a .372 average entering yesterday, 19 total runs as well. Here's a chopper. It's picked up by the shortstop, thrown on to first, and they just were able to get Terwilliger in time. Good work by Tate Bestie. Got it to Matthew Sheldon just before Terwilliger could get to the first base bag. And that does it for the top of the first. Your score is 0-0. Post-state comes up empty. Back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Want technology solutions you can trust from a neighbor you know? Comtech, locally owned and serving Pierre and surrounding areas since 2009, is dedicated to keeping your home, farm, and business connected and secure. We offer a full range of services, from audio and video, security, surveillance, and networking with expert installation and support. Visit our storefront, call us at 605-224-4066, or visit our website, comtechplus.com, to experience the Comtech difference. Comtech, your local technology experts.
Hey, yo, Speedo's Lawn Care.
Hello. Say, my yard's in rough shape. It's got weeds, brown spots, and crabgrass.
Yeah, no problemo. What shade of green you need? We got 31 shades of green over here. Even the latest shade of septic tank grass green. That one just naturally gives off a glow.
Call the professionals at True Green. They know how to get your lawn healthy and keep it healthy. They guarantee it. All technicians are trained and certified.
Call True Green, 224-1916.
Welcome back to Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Dylan Simmons on the call with you this early afternoon, currently tied at 0-0. Our scoreboard, as always, courtesy of the American Family Insurance Brittany Shuffle Buying Agency. Thank you, Brittany and American Family Insurance, for sponsoring our scoreboard each and every game. Post 8 came up empty in the top half of the first inning just a second ago. Only success came off the bat of Charlie Simpson, who ended up forcing an E5. Advanced to second on a throwing error after the fact, but Cooper Terwilliger could not bring him in after the fact. Post 8 didn't get struck out a single time. They made contact every time with the baseball when they had a batter up there. They just couldn't get somebody on base cleanly. So that's what they're going to be looking to fix throughout the rest of the game. Here comes Sam Goki for second-seeded Yankton. And as I briefly mentioned at the top of the broadcast, as a strike goes in for Post 8, they were stunned by Harrisburg yesterday. An 8-0 shutout defeat. Here's a drive into left center field that gets down for a base hit. And Sam Goki is going to get a leadoff single for Post 12. Yankton has a very dynamic offense, and it doesn't take them long most of the time to get on the scoreboard. That's why yesterday's defeat to Harrisburg was as shocking as it was. For Post 8, they've got J.J. Buchholz on the mound today. He is maybe the best pitcher Post 8 has in their repertoire. Second most strikeouts on the team, 45 and 2/3 innings pitched. A 4-3 record, 29 Ks, and a 2.15 earned run average. And if you were able to watch the Yankton Regional Series, he had a great response after issuing early walks in the game he pitched in that series. Helped Post 8 to eventually come back and win, get their spot here in this state tournament. Buchholz places this pitch wide, counts 1-1. The biggest thing that Post 8 struggled with pitching-wise last night was the frequency of walks, and Ridge Linebaugh had 8 total that helped doom Post 8 to some degree. Here's a high fly ball deep to left field. It's going to be fouled, but it had the distance to clear the fence, so that would have likely been a home run for Matthew Sheldon if he could have kept it in play. And he is a big hit bopper who can absolutely slam the baseball out of the park if given half a chance. Instead, the count's 1-2. That's what Buchholz and Post 8 have to keep in mind. Buchholz keeping a close eye at first base. Issues a fastball. It is going to be wide. Count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Simpson did a good job to keep it in front of him. Charlie Simpson is the catcher. Cooper Terwilliger at first base. Carter Shufflebein at second. Dawson gets it short. Hudson Stosher, again at third. Ridge Linebaugh in left. Porter Hunsley in center. And Sutton Sonnenschein in right field for Pierre Post 8. Throw back to first. Unable to do anything about the leadoff hitter, Samuel Goki. Got that great drive into left center over the head of Dawson Getz just a second ago. Sheldon in the batter's box with the 2-2. Goki's going, pitches wide, and Sam Goki steals second base. So Simpson bobbled that pitch for a second. It was a little bit outside, and not only do you now have a full count with no outs, but you've got a runner in scoring position for the Yankton Post 12 team. Post 8 with black shirts today, green caps. Yankton white helmets, white hats, and red shirts. And that pitch is low by Buchholz for ball 4. So Yankton has managed to get their first 2 batters on base already in this game. Matthew Sheldon advancing to first base. Runners on first and second for Yankton.
Now batting right fielder number 5.
And Yankton certainly has a great variety of batters at their disposal to give J.J. Buchholz trouble, but Easton Fesser may be the best of them all. .350 average on the season, which is barely second on this Yankton post-12 team as he watches a pitch go by for a ball. Count at 1-0. .413 on base percentage, 41 hits, which leads the team, 38 RBIs and 22 runs. And the unknown factor is certainly big in this game because these 2 teams haven't faced off yet this season. And that adds, like I said before, an element of intrigue to this matchup. You just don't know exactly what to expect. But right now, Yankton trying to show that they're a bad matchup for Pierre. Buchholz placing another pitch low, counts 3-0. And this is a really dangerous spot for J.J. Buchholz and Pierre post 8. You could easily load the bases right here if Buchholz issues another ball, and it would be very similar to what we saw with Ridge Lineback yesterday. That's ball 4. 4-pitch walk to Easton Fesser. Yankton not having to do much right now. They're able to take bases freely. And River Iverson wants to have a quick conversation with J.J. Buchholz. He's no stranger to tougher starts in the postseason. He had that against Huron in his last game. Second most strikeouts on the team, like I mentioned, best overall earned run average at 2.15. In game 3 against Huron, his last outing, complete game shutout, 6 strikeouts and 3 walks issued. But he's already on the verge of losing an opportunity at a shutout right here. Iverson wanting to have a mound visit. Obviously, this is not to take Buchholz out. This is a let's calm down and get this right moment. Post 8 has bullpen options, but they do not want to go to that this early. That much is obvious. Gavin Johnson at the plate. We saw this work to some degree for Lineback yesterday. We'll see if it gets the job done here. Count goes to 1-0 as Buchholz places another pitch inside. The strike zone has not been favorable for Pierre post 8 in the state tournament so far. It's been a real problem for them. Another low pitch by Buchholz, counts 2-0. Sometimes Buchholz does need time to settle into the game a little bit, but against a high-octane offense like Yankton that is beyond frustrated after what happened yesterday, you just don't want to take too many chances with that. Buchholz, fastball, and again it's outside and low. Counts 3-0, and he is in danger of giving Yankton a run just like that. Gavin Johnson can force another base on balls. He'll get an RBI to boot if he can do it. There is a strike for Buchholz to stop what was 7 straight balls issued by the pitcher. We'll see if that breaks the momentum for just a second. 3-1 count. Here's a drive caught by Dawson Getz on a rope. And that will stop the Yankton flurry for just a second. That's why you need a high-quality shortstop for situations like that. It was hit with the fury of 1,000 suns, but Dawson Getz was right there to gobble up that baseball out of the air and get a much-needed first out for Pierre post 8. So Johnson retired. That sends on the man working as the pitcher, Beck Reichen. Base is still loaded for Yankton. Here's a breaking ball by Buchholz that just can't find the zone. Counts 1-0. Tried to go to the lower part of the zone with that breaking ball, and he just couldn't quite get a handle on it. 1-0 pitch. Fastball lifted high and deep to left field. Racing after it is Lineback, and he's not going to be able to get to it. This is going to score at least 2 runs for Yankton. Jogging home are Goki and Sheldon, and Yankton's got runners safe at second and third. It's a 2-run double for Beck Reichen into deep left field, and Yankton takes a 2-0 lead. And this is what you feared if you were Pierre post 8, getting behind the 8-ball early on and allowing massive swings, which is what they just did with Beck Reichen. 2-out RBI double, or 1-out RBI double rather, putting Yankton on top 2-0. And still just one out in this situation. Owen with Sean is the next man up as Buchholz fires a pitch in high, counts 1-0. Of course, if you are going to give up runs, this is the inning to do it. Rather you do it early on than later on in the game. Buchholz again, just not quite stable with that pitch yet. Can't put it in the zone, or seems to be a little skittish about putting it in the zone with the way Yankton's hitting it right now. Counts 2-0. Another pitch is outside, moving it to a 3-0 count. And if I'm JJ at this point, I'm doing everything I can to try to sure that thing up, get that a little more zoned into that fastball. Able to get a strike there. Count goes to 3-1. Kind of changed the direction of it just a little bit. Buchholz usually likes to work at a pretty moderate pace, doesn't go too fast for his own good. And that's ball 4. So Buchholz has loaded the bases yet again. That is the third walk that Buchholz has issued here in this bottom half of the first inning. Matthew Sheldon, Easton Fesser were the two others. Fesser right now currently stuck at third base. Beck Reichen is at second, and now you've got Owen Washon, who's at first. Tate Bestie is the next man up, the shortstop for Yankton. High arcing breaking ball by Buchholz finds the mark, counts 0-1. And you just feel, and we've mentioned this before, but if Buchholz can get into his zone, he's a guy you feel confident that he's going to shore it up, he's going to figure it out. You just don't want to put your team too far behind before that happens. Count goes to 1-1. Buchholz usually has been Mr. Reliable this season, a number of complete game shutouts. And he's able to fit that breaking ball in beautifully towards the outside corner. Painted it well. Vincent Van Gogh would be proud. Counts 1-2. Trying to get a much-needed strikeout to stop the bleeding here. This time he places it a little wide. May have been testing Bestie in that situation to see what he would do. Bestie was not fooled. Tate Bestie with a 288 average on the season, 198 RBIs, and 25 runs scored. I was looking at the total team stats. That pitch is low and outside, counts 3-2. Bestie with a .333 slugging percentage, 30 total hits, 29 singles, just one extra base hit on the season, but he's solid at getting himself on base. Big full count here in the bottom half of the first with post 8 down 2. This ball lifted to center. Hunsley chasing after it, makes the catch. Coming home, or trying to come home for Yankton, and unable to, was Easton Fesser. Great throw by Porter Hunsley in center field to make sure Fesser couldn't come home. He's going to have to stay in the hot corner for now. Bases remain juiced, but post 8 gets a much-needed second out. That is exactly how you do it if you're Porter Hunsley. Fesser kind of hesitated when he saw the throw coming in from Hunsley from the outfield. I think that he did not believe that Hunsley could do it, but sometimes you shouldn't doubt the man, and he just showed you why. Trey Sager is at the plate. Great fastball by Buchholz. Now we'll see if this is the confidence boost that he needs to get settled in and kind of, for lack of a better term, rediscover himself throughout this inning. 0-1 pitch. Placed it a little outside, counts 1-1. Home plate umpire not really giving Buchholz that outside corner he's been looking for most of the game. And you're going to get different zones depending on the umpire you have. This ball popped up. It's in foul ground. Simpson trying to chase after it, and it's uncatchable as it clangs off the roof. But it does bring the count to 1-2. And here's the thing. If Pierre Post 8 can escape this bottom of the first, only giving up 2 runs after all that, it would be, in my opinion, a win, because you're still very much in that game, and you haven't surrendered as many runs as you could have. Count 1-2. Buchholz fastball, swing and a miss, and that is a great strikeout to end the bottom half of the first inning. Able to get Sager swinging for his first K of the game, but Yankton goes on top 2-0. Massive two-run double from Beck Reichen. He'll be back on the mound, and Post 8 will be back at the plate in 1 minute's time right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
When you're looking for quality trash pickup services, look no further than Envirotech. 6 days a week, their trucks are on the road picking up trash, even holidays. They're also the place to contact for recycling services. Their friendly, professional staff is ready to assist with weekly pickups or even special pickups. Check out the website at envirotechwaste.com. Envirotech is locally operated. Call 224-4804. Envirotech Waste Services in Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
When life throws you a curveball, May Adam Law Firm in Pierre is here to help you knock it out of the park. For over 130 years, we've been providing trusted legal expertise in business, family law, criminal defense, and more. Proud sponsors of this season's baseball action, we're committed to serving our community both on and off the field. Need legal advice? Step up to the plate with May Adam Law Firm. Visit mayadam.net or call today. May Adam, South Dakota's law firm since 1881. Welcome back. This is Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Pierre Post 8 down 2-0. We've reached the bottom half, or rather top half of the second inning, and Ridge Leinbach says hello. Here's a bobble by the second baseman. Leinbach unable to get to first in time. Owen Washon bobbled the ground ball for just a little bit, but was able to recover nicely for a 4-3 putout. And just like that, one down here in this top half of the second inning. South Dakota Legion Baseball State Tournament has been pretty shocking so far. A lot of wild results yesterday. A lot of upsets. Rapid City Post 320 shocked the top seed Post 22 by a score of 4-1. As that pitch almost caught Sutton Sunshine, the man at the plate, right in the noggin, counts 1-0. But again, Rapid City Post 320 winning 4-1. Renner defeated Brandon Valley 6-2 yesterday. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, Yankton lost to Harrisburg 8-0. Dramatic shutout fashion. And Watertown, the host team, able to defeat Pierre last night right here on KCCR by a score of 5-2. Swing and a miss by Sunshine. Watertown, as a matter of fact, was the only higher seed, quote-unquote, to win a game in that first round, which is wild to think about, but it's been all about the upset so far here in Watertown. That pitch high, count goes to 2-2. Post 8 wants to make their own upset happen right here. Game number 2 today of this state tournament Wednesday in Watertown. And Sunshine struck out swinging by Beck Reichen. That'll be Reichen's first K of the game, and Sunshine has been frustrated in the state tournament. He has been struck out now 4 times overall between last night's game against Watertown and today to start off against Yankton. Trevor Rounds, the next man up, and Post 8 already with 2 outs here in this frame. And the last thing you want to do in this situation is put Buckholtz right back out there after what just happened in the bottom half of the first. Counts 0-1, and Reichen is just firing in those strikes right now. Rounds fouls this one off, counts 0-2. Trevor Rounds entering Tuesday with a 182 average, 5 RBIs and 14 runs. Only played in 3 games last year. He's become an integral part of Pierre Post 8 this season. But facing an 0-2 count right here against Reichen. And swing and a miss. 2 straight strikeouts for Beck Reichen to end the top half of the second. And just like that, Post 8 finds themselves down 2-0 heading to the bottom half of the second inning. Yankton Post 12 in control. Post 8 going to need a good performance from J.J. Buckholtz and company in 1 minute's time. We'll be back on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Looking for your next new or used car, truck, or SUV? Then go no further than the comfort of your own home. Shop online at lambmotor.com. On lambmotor.com, you'll find the vehicles Lambs has in stock. You can schedule a test drive or your vehicle's next tune-up all online. New or used, shop for it all online anywhere you are. Lamb Motor has the right vehicle for you. Lamb Motor in Oneida and online, lambmotor.com.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 28 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agricultural. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. Call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. That's 223-2518. Todd's Electric, serving the Pierre and Fort Pierre areas. The line to power.
Welcome back. This is Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. As J.J. Buchholz fires in a pitch against the leadoff batter, Evan Sirk. Count goes to 1-0. Post 8 had a lot of issues in the bottom half of the first inning, limiting what they saw from Yankton Post 12 offensively. Counts quickly 2-0. 2 runs scored, both of those coming on a massive RBI double from Beck Reichen. That's going to be ball 3 just like that for J.J. Buchholz, who's, again, really struggling to find the zone in the early going. Able to get it that time. Caught the inside corner. Count goes to 3-1. J.J.'s still trying to just be consistent, and that's going to help. Right down Main Street. Counts at 3-2. Trying to overcome a 3-0 deficit in the count to maybe get a strikeout on Sirk to lead things off. Instead, it's a ground ball fouled to the right of the first base bag, and Cooper Terwilliger keeps the count full at 3-2. The winner of this game plays tomorrow at 1 o'clock against the loser of Rapid City Post 320 and Renner, which will be played after this game. This ball lifted on the left side. A lot of foul ground here at Watertown Baseball Stadium, but uncatchable. Hudson Stosher lets it go into the stands. Count is at 3-2. Despite the long time it's been here, it is a great venue, good place to watch baseball. First time Watertown's hosted the state tournament in over 35 years, so it's a really cool honor to be here for this incredible tournament we're witnessing. 3-2, Buchholz gets the strikeout. That's the second time in that count that he used the inside corner to his advantage. This time he catches Sirk looking, and that is a K to start things off in the bottom of the second. And what a response from Buchholz after being down 3-0 in the count against Sirk, able to get the K to get things rolling in the bottom half of the second. Samuel Goki is the next man up. He got a single his first time up against Buchholz that started the issues for Pierre Post 8. Bases were loaded multiple times in that inning. Post 8 honestly lucky to not give up any more than 2 runs. There's a strike for Buchholz. Starting to get a little bit more favorable calls from the home plate umpire, and that corner of the zone that he's been looking for so far is starting to give him some fruit to bear. Not that time, though. Pitch goes a little outside, counts 2-1. Goki with a .351 average on the season, which is second on this team. Here's a ground ball to short. Picks it up, throws on to first. Terwilliger gobbles it up for out number 2. Nice 6-3 put out for Pierre Post 8. That is the second time that Dawson Getz has assisted in a putout. Remember, he got that great line out against Gavin Johnson in the bottom half of the first, and that one not quite as flashy, but it's still a play that you got to make, and Getz always reliable in that shortstop position, getting the job done. So Matthew Sheldon will be the next man up. And Bazinga, a strike for J.J. Buchholz. Count goes to 0-1. J.J. with 2 strikeouts so far. And he's got another strike right here. And this is what we were talking about. Once he gets settled in, once he finds that rhythm, it's like a orchestra out there on the mound for him. Not so much that time, though. Placed it a little outside. Counts 1-2. Post 8 with a 17-12 record now in South Dakota games. Did not play Yankton, but played a lot of opponents that played Yankton, obviously. Buchholz, again, just missing the zone. Counts 2-2. He was looking for that outside corner. Just couldn't get it to fit in the slot. Takes a deep breath. Fires the 2-2. And the breaking ball's perfect. Right in the top of the zone against Matthew Sheldon. 2 Ks for J.J. Buchholz in that inning, both of them looking. And Yankton gets 1-2-3 by Buchholz and company. Score remains 2-0 as we head to the top of the third inning. Back in 1 minute on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We'll see if Pierre Post-8 can take a bite out of this Yankton lead.
Financial investments are very important, but so are the investments of time, patience, and encouragement our young athletes receive from their coaches, teachers, and mentors. Your Pierre area Edward Jones Financial Advisors understand this. That's why Edward Jones is a proud sponsor of Governor Athletics on KCCR. Go Govs! For all your investment needs, call or stop by one of our offices to visit with your Pierre area Edward Jones Financial Advisor. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Stolken Peterson LLP has been your local CPA firm for over 40 years, offering tax preparation, bookkeeping, payroll, and consulting services. If your business, farm, or ranch needs professional, accurate, and reliable services, we are your firm. Our clients are our #1 priority. If you need a higher level of accounting service, give us a call at 605-224-5828. That's Stolken Peterson LLP, 222 East Missouri Avenue in Pierre.
Welcome back. This is Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Second-seeded Yankton on top of 6th-seeded Pierre in this state tournament elimination game. We've reached the top of the third. Post 8 with the bat and an opportunity to cut into this Post 12 lead, but so far it's been tough sledding against the man on the mound, Beck Reichen, who fires in a pitch little inside, counts 1-0. Porter Hunsley is at the plate, 8-9-1 due up in the order. Hunsley calls time momentarily. Post 8 thus far has only managed one guy on base, Charlie Simpson, and that was on an E5. Hunsley watches that low pitch come in for a strike right at the bottom of the zone. Good fastball by Reichen, counts 1-1. Hunsley, Hudson Stosher, and Carter Shufflebind lead things off. Hunsley slaps a ground ball into center field for a base hit. So I spoke too soon about Post 8 not getting anybody on base with a hit. Porter Hunsley says, hold my stuff for a second. I got something for you. Able to get a single to lead things off here in the top half of the third inning. And Post 8 now is set up in business as the tying run comes to the plate. Hudson Stosher is on for Pierre Post 8. Hudson Stosher was not originally slated to be in the starting lineup. Grayson Hunsley is usually in this third base spot, but he is unavailable for this state tournament, so Stosher ends up taking over. Yesterday had some ups, had some downs, but was able to come through in some big spots, including getting a much-needed run for Pierre Post 8. Helped them stay in that game against Watertown Post 17. As right now, Reichen is really working over Porter Hunsley, trying to see if he can get him out at first on a pickoff. Hasn't been able to yet. Stosher, he showed bunt, and it ended up going for a strike. I'm not sure if that deflected off of Stosher's bat or not, but either way, it goes for a strike, counts 0-1. It was kind of a surprise bunt attempt. Looked like he was going to swing, and then at the last second showed that bunt. Just couldn't lay it down. So it counts 0-1. And again, they are trying to see if they can do anything with Hunsley. The second man that Post 8 has gotten on base so far in this game, and only the second hit that Post 8's managed in the state tournament so far. Now there's no surprise, bunt being shown, and there it is. They will throw on to first, and they do get the easy out, but that is exactly what Post 8 wanted to do as they advance Porter Hunsley on to second base, so the trade-off is complete. One down here in the top half of the third inning. Hunsley now in scoring position. Sends on Carter Shufflebind, who grounded out to third his last time up.
Successful sacrifice brings up the leadoff batter, number 10, second baseman Carter Shufflebind.
Shufflebind, maybe the toughest guy to get on a strikeout on this Pierre Post 8 team. Does not get struck out a whole lot. And he's very disciplined at the plate. But watches a pitch go by for a strike right there. 345 average entering yesterday's game against Watertown. 13 RBIs, 17 runs on the season. Here's a ground ball right side, picked up by the second baseman, and he's able to get it on to first. Nicely done by Owen Washon. Got it to Matthew Sheldon just in the nick of time, so it, in theory at least, becomes sort of a swinging bunt situation as it does advance Porter Hunsley onto third base, but Post State now with 2 outs here in this top of the third. So now Dawson Getz is on. Again, Post State made a lot of contact with the baseball towards the top of the order in the first. They just couldn't get guys on base. That was the big issue. There's a strike by Reichen, counts 0-1. Hunsley is itching to get home and make this a 1-run game. Getz can do that if he can get it into the outfield. He fouls this one off. It heads towards the parking lot. A lot of cars out there in the Watertown Baseball Stadium parking lot as well, so gotta hope that it didn't land on any windshields. Counts 0-2. Post State trying to avoid back-to-back losses in the state tournament, and if my stats are correct, it would be the first time in July that's happened as well. Counts 1-2. They've been uber consistent in July. After a loss, they've been able to come back and dig themselves out of the muck. Getz slaps one right side for a base hit. Here comes Hunsley. He scores, and Dawson Getz with a clutch RBI single. This guy is more endearing than Clark Kent. He can do it both with the glove and the bat, and he's got Post State down just 1 run now to second-seeded Yankton. 2-out RBI single and a runner at first for Pierre Post State.
Catcher number 21, Charlie Simpson.
Charlie Simpson will be the next man up, and that puts a little bit more pressure on Yankton than there was just a second ago. And imagine telling somebody that Post State would be in this spot after what was happening in the bottom of the first just a little bit ago. Simpson did reach last time on an E5 throwing error. Counts 1-0, committed by Samuel Goki. Taking his time now is Reichen. Simpson pops this one up. It is going to be playable. Pitcher wants it, and he dropped the baseball. Oh my goodness, Beck Reichen wanted it, and he couldn't hold on to the baseball. Unbelievable. Count goes to 1-1. That is a play you do in Pop Warner, but unfortunately Reichen just lost his concentration and lost the baseball. Counts 1-1, and you do not want to give Charlie Simpson extra life. He will make you pay more often than not. This is a quality chance for Post State to do something. Simpson with a .360 average, 16 RBIs on the season. Here's a throw to second. Getz. He is not going to get there. They threw him out. Gavin Johnson unloads the cannon of an arm he's got, and he catches Getz trying to steal. So a bit of a disappointing ending, but still a quality inning for Pierre Post State offensively. Dawson Getz with an RBI single to bring home Porter Hunsley. It is a 2-1 baseball game. We'll be back in 1 minute's time right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Swing for the fences with a great deal from Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota in Pierre. Whether you need a powerful truck, a fuel-efficient sedan, or a spacious SUV, they've got the perfect lineup to keep you on the road and in the game. Don't strike out. Stop by today or visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota, where the best deals in town are always in play.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Welcome back. This is Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. As always, our scoreboard is courtesy of the American Family Insurance Brittany Shufflebind scoreboard. Thank you, Brittany and American Family Insurance, for sponsoring our scoreboard each and every game. Post 8 down by a score of 2-1 to second-seeded Yankton here in day number 2 of the South Dakota Legion Baseball State Tournament. Easton Fesser to lead things off. And he'll let this pitch come in from Buckholz. Count goes to 1-0. Fesser, one of the better batters in the entire state of South Dakota. He's generated as much offense as anybody, just about. Swings and misses at this one. Counts 1-1. J.J. Buckholz had an inning of excellence in the bottom half of the second. 2 strikeouts and a 1-2-3 frame against this Yankton Post-12 team. Trying to get revenge after a shocking 8-0 shutout loss against Harrisburg last night. Number 7 seed in the tournament. Count goes to 1-2. Harrisburg getting ready to play Watertown, the host team, in the primetime game here tonight. Count 1-2. This ball softly hit, and this will be the easiest out of Cooper Terwilliger's life. As Fesser didn't get all that baseball, and Terwilliger was able to get that ball about as easily as you're going to. Little pop up to first base, 1 down here in the bottom of the third. Kevin Johnson will be the next man up. In his first time at the plate, he lined one out to Dawson Getz. Caught it right out of the air and in a bases-loaded situation, too, so it was a very crucial out. Here's a ground ball right to Getz, and Johnson is going to meet his enemy once again as Dawson Getz gets a 6-3 put out on Johnson for out number 2. So the post-8 defense, which has had issues, had struggles, they go back to old reliable Dawson Getz, and he does what he does so well. Cleans up a defensive play and gives post-8 an easy out. That'll send on Beck Reichen, who delivered the most explosive play of the game thus far, an RBI double. Almost got hit by a pitch that time as Buckholz's breaking ball was starting to break right towards the back of number 2. Instead, the count 1-0. And you know as well, even though Buckholz may not be thinking it, he's probably trying to make up for what happened in the bottom of the first because his pitch count is going to be inflated due to that. And as a result, he's probably not going to be able to go the full game unless it's sheer excellence from here on out, which he is very much capable of, but it could shorten his day just a little bit. Count at 2-1. Of course, post-8 would prefer if he could go the whole game. Getz tried the outside corner that time, couldn't quite manage it. Count goes to 3-1, and Getz will have to dig in deep against Reichen. Instead, he lets that one float high and just didn't have the handle on it. It's another walk, the first one he's issued since the first inning, and Yankton has their first base runner since that first inning with 2 outs. So Reichen on, that'll send on Owen Washon, who reached on a walk his last time up. And the one thing you don't want to do if you're J.J. Buckholz in this spot is start giving Yankton momentum. And you do that by putting a couple of runners on base. So this is where you got to just put that last at-bat behind you, lock in, and take care of business. Counts 1-0. Owen Washon with a 159 average on the season, just 11 total hits, 10 RBIs. But he's going to add to it right here with a drive into left field. And Washon's got a 2-out single here in the bottom half of the third inning. So Yankton, who looked down and out just a second ago in this frame, now with 2 runners on base with 2 outs, and Tate Bestie coming to the plate. Bestie is not looking to be a best friend for Pierre post-8 today. First time up, he flew out to center. Porter Hunsley did a good job of catching the baseball and not allowing Yankton to score on that play. Helped contribute to just allowing 2 runs in that bottom half of the first. But again, post-8 may be in a little bit of trouble right here. Buckholz just got to do what he can to take care of Bestie. 1-0 pitch. Painted that outside corner perfectly. Caught the top part of it. Count goes to 1-1. Broke just at the last second. Nothing that Bestie could do about it. That's that pitch that Buckholz has gone back to again and again today. Fouling the ball into the cage is Bestie. Count 1-2 now. Opportunity knocking here for Pierre post-8. Keep the game at 2-1, have a chance to tie it up in the top of the fourth. That's what Buckholz wants to do right here. And he places this ball a little high and outside. Counts 2-2. Buchholz already has one inning-ending strikeout, which took place in the first. Actually, he has two inning-ending Ks, first and second. Can he do it again in the third? Taking his time here. This ball lifted and fouled, but Bestie's doing a good job of keeping this at-bat alive. If nothing else, you're, again, extending the pitch count for Buchholz, extending this inning, leaving him less room to play later on. Even if you don't get a run out of this. 2-2 pitch. This ball lifted into foul ground and uncatchable. But Bestie continuing to hammer away at whatever J.J. Buchholz is throwing at him. Not backing down. I call these sorts of instances wars of attrition, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now, or in your case, you're listening to right here on KCCR. And Bestie with, guess what? Yet another foul ball. Keeping the count at 2-2. By the way, it is 2 o'clock here at KCCR Pierre, a Riverfront broadcasting station. You're listening to Post-Day Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Count 2-2 here. Tate Bestie trying to frustrate J.J. Buchholz. Another foul ball, and this one is, again, uncatchable. Off the roof, he's going to use up the entire supply at the rate he's going. It's been one of the longest 2-2 counts we've ever seen, but Tate Bestie is not going to be taken out that easily. And Buchholz, this is that mentality thing where he's got to think about how he wants to approach this, but also not go away from what makes him him. It's a cat and mouse sort of game, if you will. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And after all that, J.J. Buchholz does indeed get his third inning-ending strikeout. Bestie struck out swinging. Eventually somebody was going to have to win that war of attrition, and it was Buchholz. Your score remains 2-1, 2-seeded Yankton on top of 6-seeded Pierre. We'll be back in the bottom half, or for the top half of the 4th inning in just 1 minute's time, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Becky Potsaba and State Farm Insurance are here to help you with your insurance and banking needs. State Farm's not just insurance. It's banking, investments, IRAs, loans, and a whole lot more. We offer guidance in a personal and caring way that helps you manage the risks of everyday life, recover from the unexpected, and find ways to control costs so you can realize your dreams. We know how life is, and we're here for you. Stop in to see Becky at 1315 East Wells Avenue in Pierre, or call Becky at 224-4173.
Is it the competition that keeps bringing you back? The long-standing rivalries? Or is it seeing friends again and cheering on your favorite team? At First Dakota, we're here for it all. We appreciate the fans, the players, the coaches and officials, the concessions crew. The shared community experience is part of what makes life here great, and we're here for it. See you at the game. First Dakota National Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back. This is Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Dylan Simmons on the call, and we appreciate all of you letting us bring you this coverage of the South Dakota Baseball Legion Tournament right here on KCCR. Day number 2 of the tourney in an elimination game between 2nd-seeded Yankton and 6th-seeded Pierre. Both teams trying to keep their state championship ambitions alive.
21, Charlie Simpson.
Charlie Simpson coming to the plate. Post 8, again, down by a score of 2-1. Simpson didn't get a chance to finish his at-bat last time up because Dawson Getz was caught stealing. Trying to get a run for Pierre Post 8. Count is going to go to 1-0. And this is a high fly ball deep to left field, back towards the fence. But catch is made by Trey Sager. That is the best hit that Post 8's gotten, or I should say most well-hit ball that Post 8 has gotten so far today. One down here in this top half of the 4th inning on that fly out to left.
First baseman number 22.
Had a good look off of the bat. Needed a little more distance to clear the way and left. It's pretty deep out there. As Terwilliger fouls this one towards the right side. Count goes to 0-1. Terwilliger grounded out to short his last time up. Middle part of the order didn't have a lot of success against Beck Reichen. That one almost caught Terwilliger in the face, it looked like. Count evens at 1 ball, 1 strike. Right now, Post State, all they want to do is tie this thing up, put themselves in position to take control of this game. But Beck Reichen doing everything he can to make that task difficult. Count goes to 2-1. Ridge Leinbach will follow Cooper Terwilliger. And here's a high fly ball deep to right field. This is going to be trouble. It's going to land all the way at the base of the fence. Terwilliger wants 3. He's being waved around to third base, and he will get there easily. Coop delivers the triple. Oh, baby. What a shot into deep right center field by Cooper Terwilliger with 1 out. We saw Charlie Simpson do something similar just a second ago, and now Cooper Terwilliger drills one. And Post State has the tying run in the hot corner with Ridge Leinbach coming to the plate. First extra base hit that we've seen from Post State today. In fact, it's the first extra base hit of the state tournament for Pierre Post State. Didn't get any last night against Watertown. That just changed. Count goes to 1-0. Now Post State's got to bring that run home. Leinbach fouls this one towards the parking lot. Count goes to 1-1. How about the fight that Pierre Post State is showing here in this top of the 4th? Taking it to Yankton Post 12 and trying to make Beck Reichen's life hard. And it's not going to get any easier with ball number 2. Leinbach, the starting pitcher for Pierre Post State last night, credited with the loss, issued 8 walks against Watertown. You can bet that he's been sleeping on that, thinking about how he can get some measure of revenge today. Count goes to 2-2. Leinbach with a .333 average entering the tournament, 29 RBIs, tied for the team lead. He could get RBI number 30 right here. Here's a softly hit ball that is fouled. Count goes to 2-2. Sent towards the left side of the diamond. It's that gap hitting that Post State lacked in game 1 that they want more of right here. Leinbach can deliver a deep shot. Sends this one opposite side and fouled, keeping the count at 2-2. But Leinbach is keeping this at-bat alive. Again, he just needs any kind of hit, really. Something in the outfield would even send Terwilliger on. And he's going to foul it off once again, kind of like what we saw with Tate Bestie in the last frame. Leinbach refusing to go down. This time, though, the script has been flipped a little bit. 2-2 pitch. Leinbach chased after that breaking ball, and he could not get a hold of it. It's a strikeout, and it's out number 2 here in this top half of the 4th inning. That was a filthy pitch, though, by Beck Reichen. No arguing that. His 3rd strikeout of this game so far, or excuse me, yes, 3rd strikeout of this game. Sutton Sunshine will head to the plate. Speaking of strikeouts, he's been marred by them so far in the state tournament. Fouls this one into the cage, counts 0-1. It would be disappointing for Post State if they could not score Terwilliger in this situation. With 2 outs, though, you can't even just put it in the outfield. You got to find a way to get it in play. That's a low pitch, and that almost got behind the catcher, Gavin Johnson. That would have been disastrous for Yankton. Count goes to 1-1. Would have scored Terwilliger and tied this game up. And it looks like there's going to be a mound visit. Just a brief one, though, and it's only going to be between the pitching coach and the pitcher himself. Everybody else remains in position, trying to get things shored up for this very crucial 2-out at-bat. Again, we welcome you to Watertown Baseball Stadium in East River. Dylan Simmons on the call with you this afternoon. Hopefully not our last day calling Post State baseball in 2025. Pierre Post State trying to keep their season alive and do so by knocking out the number 2 seed in the tournament, Yankton Post 12. Counts 1-1. Sutton Sunshine at the plate. That pitch is high for ball 2, just past the helmet of Sunshine. Reichen not quite as sure-handed as he was earlier on. Having some issues with Sunshine right now. That one's low. That's ball 3. And if nothing else, Sutton Sun and Shine could force a walk here. It would send on Trevor Rounds, give Post State at least an opportunity. But Sun and Shine wants more. Swing and a miss. Chase after the fastball, and the count goes full at 3-2. We saw how that ended up spelling doom for Ridge Linebach just a second ago, and now a payoff pitch on the way here. 3-2. Sun and Shine just caught a piece of it. Forces the foul, count goes to 3-2. Sutton Sun and Shine entering the tournament with a .345 average, tied for the team lead in RBIs with 29. Didn't get one yesterday. Maybe today is the day to do it. Payoff pitch with 2 outs. Runner at third, and a swing and a miss for Sutton Sun and Shine. Struck out swinging by Beck Reichen, so Cooper Terwilliger's triple comes up empty. And Post State will keep the score at 2-1. Disappointing frame for Post State, but an opportunity to get the ship righted in the top of the 5th and in the bottom of the 4th. Coming up in 1 minute's time, J.J. Buchholz and Pierre Post State trying to hold Yankton at bay. We'll see if they can in 1 minute's time. Don't go anywhere, folks.
Is it the competition that keeps bringing you back? The long-standing rivalries? Or is it seeing friends again and cheering on your favorite team? At First Dakota, we're here for it all. We appreciate the fans, the players, the coaches and officials, the concessions crew. The shared community experience is part of what makes life here great, and we're here for it. See you at the game. First Dakota National Bank, member FDIC.
For over 60 years, Ferding Electric has been powering homes and businesses across central South Dakota. When you need reliable electrical service, trust the experts with decades of experience. Whether it's a simple residential repair, a complex commercial installation, or even electrical work on your farm, Ferding Electric has you covered. And if you're tired of searching everywhere for that hard-to-find bulb, Ferding Electric carries a wide selection of bulbs, including those hard-to-find fluorescent and specialty options. Visit us at 2903 East Elizabeth Street or call today, 605-224-8684.
Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Reminder for those watching on YouTube, this is just an audio-only broadcast due to the rights for the game. But we are allowed to give you an audio broadcast today, and happy to do so. Count goes to 1-0. J.J. Buchholz, the man on the mound, against Trey Sager. 8-9-1 due up in the order for Yankton. And a nice breaking ball by Buchholz there to even the count at 1-1. That's been a pitch he's gone back to a lot towards the outside corner today. Buchholz has gotten a total of 4 strikeouts in this game so far. Here's a liner right to third base, and sweeping it off the clay is Hudson Stosher for out 1. Brilliant play by the third baseman. Hudson Stosher, again, not used to playing third base, but didn't show any sign of it right there. Was able to catch that low liner for out number 1. So Sager retired. That'll send on Evan Sirk, number 9 man in the order and a lefty. One of the few lefties on either side. Count goes to 1-0. Bottom half of the 4th inning between Pierre Post 8 and Yankton Post 12. Here's a fly ball to center. Hunsley back, barely has to move, and makes the catch for out number 2. So this is the kind of start that Post State wanted to get things rolling in this bottom of the 4th, make this quick and simple, and not allow Yankton any sort of momentum, because that's when Yankton is at their most dangerous, when they've got momentum, when they have confidence, and everything that comes with that. They are a hard team to stop once they get on a roll. Samuel Goki is at the plate, top man in the order, already has a single in this game. Buchholz fires the pitch in high. Count goes to 1-0. After the initial flurry of scoring early on in this game, it's been relatively quiet to some degree as that pitch gets behind the catcher Simpson, and the count goes to 2-0. Both teams have kind of gotten things squared away as far as pitching and defense goes in the meantime, and it's become, in a way, a bit of a pitcher's duel. Still some great plays, though, offensively on both sides, including Cooper Twilliger's triple just a sec ago. There's a strike. Count goes to 2-1. Good crowd on hand for both sides. Pierre Post State and Yankton. Bit of an easier trip for the folks in the southeastern part of the state. If you're watching from Pierre here in Watertown, then you had to travel about 3 hours and 20 minutes east. Count goes to 3-1. Buckholtz in danger of issuing a walk, and that's what he's going to do. Ball 4, and Samuel Goki heads to the plate. Matthew Sheldon will be the next man up, and a runner aboard for Yankton Post 12. Similar to what we saw in the bottom half of the third. Yankton was able to turn that into an extension of the inning, but Buckholtz got out of the hole. Now he may have to do something similar here. Sheldon at the plate, runners going. Here's the throw, and it is going to be in time. They got him out. Samuel Goki tried to steal second base, kind of reminiscent of what Dawson Getz did earlier, and he was caught stealing. And Post State, in dramatic fashion, ends the bottom half of the fourth inning and leaves a runner aboard for Yankton Post 12. Your score remains 2-1. Post State fighting back in a big way. Now they'll have to do it with the bat in the top half of the fifth inning. Back in 1 minute's time on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Venture Communications has deep roots in rural South Dakota. Venture now proudly provides fiber to the home with 100% of our customers, enabling them to enjoy super fast and reliable internet connections. We'd like the opportunity to keep you in touch with the people and resources that matter most. 100% fiber and 100% committed to rural South Dakota. Call Venture Communications today at 605-852-2224, 605-852-2224, or online at venturecom.net.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your health care is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Welcome back to Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Our scoreboard, as always, courtesy of the American Family Insurance Brittany Shuffle Buying Agency. Thank you, Brittany and American Family Insurance, for sponsoring our scoreboard each and every game. Post 8 down 2-1 to second-seeded Yankton here in the Legion Baseball State Tournament, trying to find their way to State Tournament Thursday. But in order to do that, they're going to have to find a way back from this 2-1 deficit. Swing and a miss by Trevor Rounds. 7, 8, 9 due up in the order for Post State. One hit between the three so far. This is Rounds' second time at the plate. Lets this pitch come in low. Count goes to 1-1 on the low fastball from Beck Reichen, who has been very solid on the mound so far for Yankton Post 12. And another swing and a miss for Trevor Rounds. Count goes to 1-2. Reichen is really targeting the lower part of the zone in this at-bat. Rounds unable to find the baseball. Does make contact with this one, and it's going to be fouled, keeping the count at 1-2 as it clangs off the roof. Winner of this game plays tomorrow. That game will be at 1 o'clock against the loser of game number 7, which will be, as that's a hit-by pitch on Trevor Rounds. So I'll quit yapping about hypotheticals, folks, and get back to reality. Trevor Rounds able to make it on to first base with a hit-by pitch. That is a good start for Post 8 in this top of the 5th. Tying runs aboard, and that'll send Don Porter Hunsley, who already has a single in this game.
Center fielder number 17, Porter Hunsley.
Got that single in his last at-bat, that coming in the 3rd inning. Post State had the tying run aboard in the top of the 4th, couldn't bring it home despite Cooper Terwilliger getting all the way to 3rd. One of the few times in this tournament they've left a run on base. They've been usually pretty good about cashing in on those opportunities. Here's a bunt, it's laid down, and Yankton players get between each other, and the throw goes off the bag. Oh my goodness, I think there was a miscommunication between 3 players for Yankton Post 12. The third baseman, pitcher, and catcher all wanted the baseball. They all kind of ran into each other, and Post 8 now with runners on first and second. That worked out about as well as it could have. If it was an error, I don't even know who to assign the error to, but Post State not only with the tying run aboard, but also the leading run at first base. One of the oddest plays that you'll see in some time. I guess I'll call it an E1 for now, but it's a bizarre bunt, to say the least. That's how it should be scored. Hudson Stosher at the plate, and now Post State's really in business with no outs and runners aboard. Stosher showed bunt, and I think his idea in this juncture, you lay down the bunt, you possibly get 2 runners on base, but you got to make sure that you don't put it in the path of those base runners. That's the main thing you got to do right now. Count is 1-0. We'll see how Stosher wants to handle this. He is going to show bunt. There it is. And the first baseman slipped, and Post State's going to have the bases juiced. Matthew Sheldon lost his footing trying to collect the baseball along the first base line. And in some of the oddest circumstances you will ever see, Post State has the bases loaded with no outs here in the top half of the 5th inning. My goodness, call this game Merlin, because it is magic for Post State right now with all the wackiness and craziness that we're seeing here in the top half of the 5th inning. I don't think Harry Houdini could conjure up the stuff we're seeing right here. This is unreal. Post State now with a prime opportunity, the bases loaded, and again, Sheldon had a clear path to the baseball, but he couldn't keep his footing, slipped in the infield. Footing hasn't really been an issue in this game so far, but it was right there, and now we go to the top of the order to Carter Shufflebine. No outs, bases juiced. Shufflebine slaps this one foul. Count goes to 0-1, and you don't need much right here. If you want to tie this game, just send one into the outfield if you're Shufflebine. Unfortunately, he's been stymied in this game. Grounded out twice already. 0-1 pitch, Shufflebine, there's a chopper. There's 1 out, throw to first, will be in time for 2, but Post State does tie the game. Carter Shufflebine gets the RBI. Ends up being a 6-4-3 double play. Takes out the run at second and at first. But Post State tying the game at 2 runs apiece. Post State now with just 1 runner aboard. Runner at third base, which is Porter Hunsley. So Trevor Rounds comes home. Hunsley's now at third. Stosher and Shufflebine both retired. And now we've got Dawson Getz at the plate. Remember, Getz already has 1 big RBI in this game. Here's a drilled ball into left that is caught by Trey Sager. Pretty good line shot, but Sager was right there to make the catch. But thanks to all that wackiness that we saw early on in the top of the 5th, Post State ties the game at 2 runs apiece. Carter Shufflebine with the tying RBI. This game is getting mighty interesting, heading to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Back in 1 minute on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
YAG Air Incorporated is your locally owned ag chemical and seed retailer. YAG Air Incorporated offers reliable ground and aerial application. For the latest seed and chemical pricing, contact Kyle at 605-280-8710 or Tony at 605-280-4771. YAG Air for all your ag chemical and seed needs. Kyle, 605-280-8710 or Tony, 605-280-4771.
You just got a quote from a company and are now being billed for not choosing them. Many contracts have what's referred to as a contingency agreement. These typically state that if you don't go with them, you, after insurance has approved the repair work, will be charged a percentage of the job they quoted. Ask up front if they charge to provide an estimate. Never sign anything that you haven't fully read or understand. If you have any questions, reach out to the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986.
Welcome back. This is Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Dylan Simmons on the call. We've reached the bottom half of the 5th inning between 6th-seeded Pierre Post 8 and 2nd-seeded Yankton. And a reminder, if you need one, this is an elimination game. It's win or go home for both sides today. And in this kind of elimination game, you want some drama. That's exactly what we're getting. Matthew Sheldon to the plate. J.J. Buckholt still on the mound, but he's at 83 pitches already in this game, so He's only going to have a little bit more wiggle room to work with if he can survive this frame. Count goes to 1-0, but he's approaching that dreaded pitch limit. And that one is going to be outside the zone as well. Counts 2-0. Sheldon did strike out looking his last time up against Buckholz, who'd like to make this a quick inning if at all possible. And if Buckholz is forced to go out early as the count goes to 3-0, the question for Pierre would be, who would you go to? Will Danberg was used a little bit yesterday. I wonder if you go back to him today. There's a strike, counts 3-1, and it's almost certain that they will have to use somebody else if this game especially goes into the bottom half of the 7th. 3-1 pitch and a foul ball by Sheldon. Count goes to 3-2. And I think a key for Yankton right now could be just see if you can survive Buckholz, force him to have to exit the game early, and then deal with whoever would be coming out of the bullpen. 3-2. Breaking ball, put it in perfectly. Even caught Sheldon off guard, who thought for sure it would be ball 4. Not so fast, my friend. That's a strikeout. A big strikeout to start things off in the bottom half of the 5th inning. That is K number 5 for J.J. Buckholz in this game. Easton Fesser, the next man up. Breaking ball is a little bit high. Count goes to 1-0. But if you're Buckholz, you'd at least like to make it through the bottom of the 5th. Give yourself a little bit more action in the bottom of the 6th and give your next pitcher time to warm up. And again, it's placed high. Count goes to 2-0. Conversely, Yankton, with their pitcher, Beck Reichen, he's in a bit more of a safe situation. He's only at 66 pitches. This ball is drilled into the air, popped up on the right side, and the right fielder wants it, and Sutton Sonnenschein makes the catch. That is out number 2 here in this bottom half of the 5th inning, and a much-needed one against Easton Fesser, who's been so dynamic all season long, but couldn't be quite as dynamic on that play. Gavin Johnson is the next man up. He lined one out to short his first time up and grounded one out to Dawson Getz his last time. So he's had issues dealing with Dawson Getz so far. Trying to make this a speedy bottom of the 5th is Buckholz. Places this pitch high, and the count goes to 1-0. Fans on both sides sitting on pins and needles right now. Already had some drama earlier today in the Rapid City Post 22 and Brandon Valley matchup. It was at one point 11-4. Brandon Valley came back in the bottom half of the 7th to make it 11-9, almost forced a comeback. Count goes to 3-0 here. Buckholz in danger of issuing a walk. Overcame that against Sheldon just a second ago. May have to do that again against Johnson. And that is ball 4. So Gavin Johnson makes his way on to first base, and that's been a bit of a struggle for Buckholz today, is the frequency of walks that he's issued. And that ever-increasing probability of another pitcher continues to weigh on the minds, I'm sure, of Post 8 fans, Buckholz, and head coach River Iverson. But this is Post 8's opportunity in this bottom of the 5th to not make that an issue. If Buckholz can keep delivering solid pitches. Here's a drive into right center field, and a diving catch by Porter Hunsley. Oh my gracious. Laying out with every bit of that 6-foot frame, Porter Hunsley somehow found a way to bring in that baseball for one of the best catches we've seen all season long. And that is the kind of defensive play that takes championship skill, championship heart, and championship determination. Post 8 brings the game to the top of the 6th, and the score remains tied at 2 runs apiece. Crowd still buzzing after that one. Back in 1 minute to see if Post 8 can take the lead on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Summer is here and Beck Motor Company is stepping up to the plate. As a proud supporter of Legion Baseball, we're hitting it out of the park with unbeatable deals on the Chevy and Cadillac vehicles. Whether you're looking for the power of a Chevy Silverado or the luxury of a Cadillac Escalade, Beck Motor Company has the perfect ride for you. So swing by today, take your game and your drive to the next level. Beck Motor Company, your local Chevy and Cadillac dealer, proud to support our youth and ready to put you behind the wheel of your dream vehicle. www.beck-motors.com, 605-224-5912.
Walking together in faith, living together in faith, working together in faith, that's who we are.
Hi, this is Pastor Sam Hanschke. I hope that our athletes have an excellent and successful season. I pray that God would continue to richly bless them. I invite you to join me in praying for our athletes during the year.
We're Faith Lutheran and we are glad you're here.
Welcome back. This is Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We've reached the top half of the 6th inning with your score still. Pierre 2, Yankton 2. It's been a dramatic back and forth close contest, but neither team has been able to get a true advantage. Yankton was on top 2-0 after the first inning, but Post 8 has been able to grind their way through to keep this game close and eventually get it tied. And now in the top of the 6th, they've once again got an opportunity to take the lead. 3-4-5 due up in the order. Charlie Simpson at the plate, facing off against Beck Reichen, the man on the mound. And Simpson almost gets drilled by the pitch. Count goes to 1-0 on that one that was well inside. Post 8 fans trying to urge Simpson on to greatness. And there's a strike. Catching the top part of the zone on the breaking ball, counts 1-1. Simpson did reach earlier on in this game on an E5 throwing error. And that's strike 2. Great pitch to the outside by Beck Reichen, who's been heating up that breaking ball more and more throughout this game. He's had some inconsistencies, but it's also had its moments of greatness, and that time didn't quite put it in the zone, according to the home plate umpire. And we have 2 balls and 2 strikes for the catcher. Simpson drills this one, and it's caught out of the air by Owen Washon. What a catch by the second baseman. Reminiscent of what we saw from Dawson Getz in the first. Washon goes up like he was doing the vertical at the NFL scouting combine and brings it down. 1 away here in the top of the 6th, and that sends on Cooper Terwilliger. Was a solid hit from Simpson. He just couldn't quite clear it into the outfield. That's a strike. Count goes to 0-1. Remember, Coop, his last time up, had a huge triple for Post 8. And that pitch cannot quite find the zone. Count goes to 1-1. What Yankton wants to do in this situation is make this as quick of a top half of the 6th as possible. Force Buchholz back out there, and the hope would obviously be to see if Buchholz cannot last to the bottom of the 7th due to that pitch count, and then see what Post 8 would have after the fact. You'd imagine it could be Danberg, but there's no way to know for sure right now. Post 8 doesn't want to think too much about it. Right now, all they want to think about is grabbing that lead. Count is 2-2 after the foul ball from Terwilliger. Terwilliger drills this one left side, picked up by the shortstop, throws off balance. His throw made it in time. What a great throw by Tate Bestie. Had to really scoop that one off of the clay, and again off balance, able to get it to Matthew Sheldon for out number 2. 2 down here in the top half of the 6th inning. Count clears, and we send on Ridge Leimbach. Leimbach struck out swinging his last time up.
13, Ridge Leimbach.
In a 2-out situation here. Pitch on the way. Leimbach fouls this one off. Counts 0-1. Leimbach has been somewhat struggling from the plate in this tournament. Didn't have a whole lot of success from there yesterday. Has struggled a bit today. But you just know he's waiting to break out in a huge way here soon. Fouls that off. Counts 0-2. Of course, if things go a certain way, he may not get a chance after this frame. So he's got to take advantage of this opportunity while it's here for him. That pitch is low. Count goes to 1-2. Riken just couldn't quite find the zone. So much drama, so much intensity with this game right now. It's obvious to understand why. That pitch a little outside and a little high. Counts 2-2 on the breaking ball from Riken. These players with so much on the line and so much they put into this. And that's low. Count goes to 3-2, so good discipline by Ridge Limbach, turning an 0-2 to a 3-2. Got to have great plate discipline if you're going to succeed at this level. Here's a softly hit ball right back to the mound, and Riken scoops it up and underhand tosses to Sheldon for out 3. So that will be out number 3 here in the top of the 6th. Post 8 gets 1-2-3. Disappointing frame offensively for the 8s. They'll get a chance in the bottom of the 6th, though, to hold Yankton at bay, and they'll need to, as Yankton will be looking to take the lead and then close it out in the top of the 7th. We'll be back in 1 minute on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Has it been years since you've been to the dentist? Are you afraid to see a dentist? If so, you are among many people who feel this way. Hi, I am Dr. Michelle Hofer of Missouri River Dentistry. At our office, we pride ourselves as an office that uses a personal touch to offer gentle dentistry, tailored to fit each patient's needs. We do so by utilizing state-of-the-art equipment and methods which allow the patients to feel comfortable. So whether it has been many years or 6 months since your last dental visit, your oral health is important. We invite you to call us at Missouri River Dentistry, 223-2021, 223-2021.
Wagner Auto and Pierre has been hitting home runs for over 100 years, delivering quality vehicles and top-notch service to our community. Whether you need a rugged truck, a dependable SUV, or a fuel-efficient car, we've got the perfect lineup to keep you on the road. Proud sponsor of this season's baseball action, we're here to help you drive home a great deal. Stop by today or visit WagnerAuto.com. Wagner Auto, South Dakota's oldest auto dealer.
Welcome back. This is Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. And we were waiting on it. We were wondering about it, and it has come to reality. Post 8 making a pitching change. J.J. Buchholz too close to that ever-looming pitch count to stay in. So Danberg takes over. Remember, yesterday against Watertown, he had an inning and a third pitched. Didn't give up any earned runs in his time at the mound. And obviously, in this situation, River Iverson feeling as though it's best to put him in with no strings attached and let him start off the bottom half of the 6th inning, which is what he's going to look to do. So Buchholz Day comes to an end with 5 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, 6 walks issued, just 2 earned runs given up, and 3 hits total allowed. Not a bad day's work for number 23, but now the hopes of Post 8 advancing in the state tournament lie in Will Danberg's hands. Danberg will start things off against Owen Washon. 6, 7, 8 due up in the order for Yankton Post 12. Danberg tries a pitch high, and the count goes to 1-0. And can you imagine the pressure on that young man's shoulders right now with all that's lying on this game, all the history, getting back to the state tournament for the first time in 3 years? It's a big expectation to live up to. Places this one wide, counts 2-0. Danberg can't take too long getting into a rhythm because in this situation, you do not want to give Yankton any sort of momentum to start things off in this bottom half of the 6th inning. That's ball 3, and he's in danger of issuing a leadoff walk against Washon right here. Count at 3-0. Danberg, fastball, and that's high for ball 4. So Washon, who's been a real thorn in the side of Post 8 so far in this game, getting on base to start things off in this bottom half of the 6th inning. Runner aboard for the 2nd-seeded Yankton Post 12, and that'll send on Tate Bestie. Wilson, or Washon rather, has now made it 3 separate times in this game. He's forced 2 walks and gotten a single across 2 different pitchers. Bestie struck out swinging his last time up. Of course, that was against J.J. Buchholz. Leading run is aboard for Yankton. Bunt shown. And you wonder if Bestie will stick with that as the count goes to 0-1. They called that a strike. Thought the pitch was a little outside for Danberg, but home plate umpire was right there to see it. Post State obviously understanding the importance of that third run scoring for Yankton. They do not want that to happen under any circumstance. Here's the throw back to first, and Danberg not going to be able to take out Owen Washon that easily. Quickly got back to first base. Danberg standing in on this overcast day in Watertown. A little bit of wind, but what small amount there is mostly at the back of Will Danberg. 0-1 pitch, bunt shown. Bestie pulled back and let the pitch go by for ball number 1. Count goes to 1-1. Obviously the key for this for Yankton is to eventually get Washon on to second with this bunt attempt, even if it does take Bestie out. That's what Post State has to keep in mind. React accordingly. Danberg trying to avoid the bunt attempt, placed it outside once more, counts 2-1. At least that's what it looks like. He's trying to curve away from what Bestie's doing, and Bestie's just letting it go by, playing it smart. Danberg's got to be aware of that. Count at 2-1. Danberg, here is the bunt. It comes right back to Danberg. He's throwing for second, and he got it. So they get the leadoff run. Very smart play by Will Danberg. He was in a perfect spot for that to happen. So the bunt attempt somewhat backfires for Tate Bestie. He makes it on to first on a fielder's choice, but you've got one away here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. So Post State, I'd say they'll take that trade-off every day of the week, as that will send on Trey Sager. Or check it. We're going to get a pinch hitter. It's Mark Cathal, who will be the next man up at the plate. So he's going to come in for Sager, and we assume he would take over in the outfield in that situation as well. So we'll see if he comes up in left field on the top of the 7th. But right now, it's all about this time and this moment for Danberg. Danberg, fastball, low and in the dirt. Simpson did a good job to keep it in front of him. Count goes to 1-0. Danberg entering yesterday with a 3.36 ERA, 29 strikeouts, 56 total hits allowed on the season, and a 5-2 record overall. Count is at 1-0. Danberg tries the fastball again, and again it's low and outside. Trying to target the bottom part of the zone, and right now Mark Cathal is not fooled. Cathal himself with a 158 average on the season, but a 407 on base percentage. So he's been pretty good in these situations at least getting on base. Count 2-0. That is a dead-on strike for Will Danberg. Beautiful upstairs fastball. Count goes to 2-1. Placed it in the top part of the zone well. Danberg trying to keep that fastball revved up, keep his arm loose in this spot. 2-1 pitch. Danberg. Here's a comebacker. It goes off the glove of Danberg, and 2 men on base are going to be safe for Yankton post 12. Runners on first and second with 1 out. Danberg tried to collect that baseball as it was coming back towards him, but it was at an awkward angle. Probably going to be called a single for the moment for Cathal, I'd imagine.
Running at first for Yankton, number 9, Boston Frick.
Boston Frick will come in as a pinch runner for Yankton in this situation, so it'll be Frick who is on first base. Now you've got Tate Bestie at second base as Evan Sirk comes to the plate. Lone lefty in the order for Yankton, and now Danberg has to really buckle down, and it looks like before he will deliver the pitch, Charlie Simpson will have a word with him on the mound. Talk it over for just a brief second. They've turned the lights on here at the Watertown Baseball Stadium. Not exactly dark, but it's not exactly bright either, so lights are kind of necessary. Good to have in this situation. Long way away from night, though. Danberg fires in a fastball and puts it in perfectly. Perhaps that conversation with Simpson helping. Count goes to 0-1. Post State desperately needing another out here. You just don't want anybody at third base if you can help it, especially with 1 out. Danberg keeping a close eye at second. Places this breaking ball a little bit to the outside. Counts 1-1. And you wonder if maybe in that situation, Simpson wanted to talk to Danberg because of the lefty batter and the challenge that that presents. Probably not a bad idea. Yankton fans trying to urge on Cirque. Count 1-1, and the pitch high. Count 2-1 now. Will Danberg, thus far, has not issued any strikeouts. Hasn't had the disastrous play yet, but he is on the verge of possibly giving Yankton the lead if he's not careful. 2-1 pitch. This ball lifted into center. Hunsley's right underneath it and makes a routine catch, and also makes sure that Bestie does not get to third base. Out number 2 in the bottom of the 6th. Huge out for Post-8, and a nice job by Hunsley. It's a pretty easy play, but in those moments, as we've seen earlier today with Cirque, of Yankton trying to make a catch, sometimes those easy routine plays become that much harder in these moments. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th, as Sam Goki is the next man up, and we go back to the top of the order. He has reached twice in this game, but both times against Buchholz. This is his first time against Will Danberg. Post-8 needing just one more out to bring this game to the top of the 7th and keep the score tied. That's a ball as Danberg placed it a little high and outside. Counts 1-0. Both teams fighting for their state tournament and season lives right here. Trying to keep the dream alive in late July. Count at 1-0. Danberg. Fastball in there for a strike. Beautiful job by Will Danberg. Caught the inside corner that time, and there was no way that Goki was going to be able to do anything about it. 1-1 count. Yankton trying to take their first lead since the early part of the game. And Danberg once again right by the ear. They're going to call that a ball, actually. My apologies. Thought for sure that'd be called for a strike. It looked very similar to what we saw a second ago, but home plate umpire didn't see it the same way, so instead the count's 2-1. Danberg taking a lot of time between pitches right now, and can understand why. Count at 2-1, and a foul ball. Goes off the end of the bat for Sam Goki. Off the barrel, count goes to 2-2. Imposing moments for Will Danberg in this post-8 team. This is easily the most pressure-filled situation all season long, but this is what you practice for. This is what you dream about, is a situation like this as a pitcher. Count 2-2 with 2 away. Danberg keeping a close eye at second. Collects himself, fires, and it's low for ball 3. 3-2 count, and a absolutely massive payoff pitch on the way for Sam Goki. Will Danberg trying to avoid what Buchholz did his last time, issue a walk to Goki. Trying to end this inning, bring this game to the top of the 7th with the score still tied at 2 runs apiece. And time called by Goki. And if you're Will Danberg, do you try that outside fastball once again, or do you try going to the inside, which has worked to some degree in this bottom of the 6th? We'll see what Danberg's going to serve up on this payoff pitch. And time called again. This time it looks like by Simpson. Needed a second to adjust the face mask. Just adds more and more intensity and magnitude to this moment. Payoff pitch. (3-2). This ball popped up, and we will play on in the bottom of the 6th as it's fouled, keeping the count at 3-2. One thing about Goki is he's not a guy who's going to go down easily. Hasn't been struck out yet in this game. Only time he has been taken out was on a ground out, although he did get caught stealing in his last time on base as well. Right now, though, it's all about just getting that last out. The 3-2. And it's a hit by pitch. It caught Goki in the upper left part of the back and he will make his way on to first base. So Danberg, who's been reliable in this bottom of the sixth to some degree, ends up delivering a hit-by pitch here, and it looks like we're going to see a meeting on the mound. So mound visit for Post 8 and Will Danberg with the bases juiced. And you doubt in this spot they would think about taking out Danberg, but you do have to have a discussion about this because this is a dire situation if you allow a hit of any kind. So Post 8, at any point, they've got to find a way to get an out in this bottom of the sixth. That's the main thing they've got to do. Whatever it takes to do that, just get it done. And I'm sure that's what Coach Iverson and this staff are trying to reiterate to Will Danberg, Charlie Simpson and company right now. Just get that last out, take a deep breath, and bring this game to the top of the seventh. That's what Post 8's got to do, because you don't have to worry about the ball going into the outfield as long as you come up with it and don't allow a hit. Matthew Sheldon is at the plate. He did reach on a walk once. He struck out looking his last two times, though. Those against Buchholz, this against Danberg. Swing and a miss here. Great breaking ball. Count goes to 0-1. Danberg's got to do that 2 more times. Sheldon, a very powerful hitter as well, folks, so keep that in mind. If he gets one, he might be able to take it to the outfield, and you'd imagine that's what he wants to do. 0-1 pitch. And that pitch is a little wide and high. Count goes to 1-1. Yankton dugout, they can sense it as well, urging on Sheldon to try to get a hit here to give Post 12 the lead. One pitch. Great fastball by Danberg. They're going to call that ball too. And I think a lot of Post 8 fans thought for sure that would be called for a strike, but that is not what was called. Count goes to 2-1. It was very similar to some of the pitches we've seen, but it's tough to say for sure from our angle. Counts 2-1. And that's ball 3. Little high and outside, and now Will Danberg is in the danger zone. If he issues another ball here, a run will score for Yankton in a bases loaded situation, and it'll give Post 12 a 3-2 lead. This is where Danberg really has to buckle in. This ball popped up left side. Who wants it? It is going to be Leinbach who takes it, and he's got it. All that drama. Bases juiced, 2 outs. Post 8 finds a way to strand 3 runners on base for Post 12. It wasn't easy, but they got the job done. And now we head to the top of the 7th, and your score still Pierre 2, Yankton 2. Post 8 with a chance to take the lead when we come back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping wants to make it easy for you to get that lush green lawn and that yard haven that you've been dreaming of. Visit dakotasprinkler.com to make appointments for sprinkler system spring startup, service calls, fall winterization, and landscaping quotes. Trust Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping's professionals to get you through the planning and installation to make your landscaping needs a reality. Visit dakotasprinkler.com today.
Welcome back to the Watertown Baseball Stadium. This is the South Dakota Baseball Legion Tournament on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We are in the top half of the 7th inning, and your score is Pierre 2, Yankton 2. Post 8 is up to bat with Sutton Sun and Shine, 6, 7, 8. Due up in the order for Pierre Post 8, and they are taking on the familiar foe of Beck Reichen, who is still at the plate or on the mound. Here's a bloop shot that is going to get down into center field. Sutton Sun and Shine breaks his hitless streak in the state tournament, and what a time to do it. a leadoff single here in the top half of the 7th inning, and that gets the Post-8 crowd fired up. So Sun and Shine didn't even give me a chance to introduce himself before he said, let me do it myself, with his bloop shot to start things off in the top of the 7th. The leading run aboard for Pierre Post-8. That will send on Trevor Rounds, who has struck out swinging and reached on a hit-by pitch so far in this game. And it's crucial for this part of the order, which has struggled so much with Beck Reichen, to deliver for Post-8 in what could be the final inning of the game. Bunt shown and laid down. Sun and Shine moving on to second. Here's the throw, and it's in time to first. So Rounds is retired on the bunt attempt, but the sac bunt does advance Sutton Sun and Shine, and more importantly, the leading run on to second base and in scoring position with one out. So Porter Hunsley will be the next man up, and he has reached both times he's been at the plate today against Beck Reichen. Last time it was on a wild-looking bunt attempt. Remember, Sun and Shine's got a lot of speed under the hood as well. Here's a fly ball to center that is going to sit down right in the glove of Evan Sirk for out 2. So Hunsley got a decent handle on the ball, but he just didn't put enough of a charge into it. Hudson Stosher will be the next man up. He reached on an E3 as best we can tell in his last attempt. Again, Sun and Shine in scoring position, but Post-8 already down to 2 outs here in this top of the 7th. Circumstances not the best, but Stosher has been able to deliver in situations like this before. You just need one hit into the gap, and you can score Sun and Shine. Pitch goes high, count goes to 1-0. And you can't be too over-eager. You got to be kind of picky with the pitches you do see. If nothing else, maybe even force a walk to give Carter Shufflebine an opportunity to possibly get up to bat in the top of the 7th. The count goes to 1-1 as that was just fouled by Stosher. Reichen not quite near the pitch limit yet, by the way, at 86. And time called. Stosher wants to take a moment, feel the situation out a little bit. Post-8, it almost feels as though they need a run here, if nothing else, to at least give them some insurance in the bottom of the 7th, considering what happened earlier on in the bottom of the 6th. Bases loaded, they just got out of it. Stosher slaps one towards center, and it's caught by Evan Sirk. The second straight fly ball he caught right out of the air. And it sends us to the bottom of the 7th. Post-8 comes up empty despite their best efforts. And now Yankton can win it with a walk-off and 1 run in the bottom half of the 7th inning. It's do or die time for Will Danberg and this Post-8 team. Back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports for more South Dakota Legion Baseball State Tournament action.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Larry Fry Heating and Cooling has a new name. Kruger Climate System has acquired Larry Fry Heating and Cooling, but it's still the same great service. Your friend Larry Fry is still a manager, and his dedication to providing you with outstanding service remains unwavering. The same quality products and services you have come to expect from Larry Fry Heating and Cooling will continue under the new leadership of Kruger Climate Systems. You can still reach us at 605-224-9548 or email us at ryan@krugercontracting.com. Kruger Climate Systems, your certified Trane and Mitsubishi dealer in Central South Dakota.
Welcome back to Watertown. Dylan Simmons on the call. This is the bottom half of the 7th inning between Pierre Post-8 and the Yankton Post-12 team in day 2 of the state tournament, the elimination game. Both teams trying to keep their state tournament hopes alive. And the best way to do that for Pierre Post-8 is keep Yankton from scoring a walk-off run here in this bottom half of the 7th inning. But it's going to be tough against Easton Fesser, who will lead things off. 3-4-5 due up in the order for second-seeded Yankton. Danberg's first pitch is well inside. Count goes to 1-0. Danberg had some struggles in the bottom of the 6th, had the bases loaded with 2 outs, was able to overcome that, keep the game tied, but now he's got some of the best players in the order up to bat. That pitch from Danberg is high. Count goes to 2-0. Again, Yankton needs just 1 run to win this game. They can walk it off in the bottom of the 7th. Post State has to keep the score tied to bring it to the top of the 8th. Here's a ball that is driven into right field for a base hit. It's going to be a leadoff single for Easton Fesser. Got a good handle on that baseball, and Yankton has the winning run aboard at first base. So the job gets that much tougher for Pierre Post State. Fesser could attempt to try to steal second. Post State's got to keep that in mind here.
22, Gavin Johnson.
Gavin Johnson is the next man up, and this is arguably the strongest part of the order for Yankton Post 12. That's why Danberg has got to be somewhat cautious here to some degree. Keeping a close eye at Fesser over at first. Here's a bunt laid down along the third base line. Throw to first is in time by Stosher. Nicely done. So they went with the bunt with Johnson. And although Johnson's out, again, it does what it's supposed to do. It advances the winning run into scoring position. So now Easton Fesser is at second base. And Yankton is 180 feet away from victory and advancing in the state tournament. Beck Reichen, who's been a thorn in the side of Post State all day, who's been tremendous on the mound, is now at the plate. It'd be somewhat fitting for him and for Yankton to end this with him delivering the winning run, considering how well he's played on the mound today. Remember, he's also got an RBI double in this game. Danberg delivers a ball. It's a little high. Count goes to 1-0. Danberg doesn't have to rush this situation. He can take as much time as he needs to. And it seems as though he's going to do that here against Reichen. Had that RBI double earlier on in the game. Here's a comebacker towards the mound. Danberg bobbled the ball, throws on to first, and somehow got it there in time. Made lemons out of lemonade and was able to get out number 2. However, he was trying to target the man at third base, who is Easton Fesser, who's now in the hot corner. But it is 2 away here in the bottom of the 7th. However, the winning run for Yankton is 90 feet away. Beck Reichen retired on that 1-3, and that'll send on Owen Washon. Washon is probably the batter that Yankton wants to have in this situation the most, considering he's reached every time he's been at the plate today. 2 walks and a single. This is for the season right here. Danberg puts a pitch in low, and the count goes to 1-0. Danberg can afford a walk in this situation if he has to, but one thing he can't do is get a hit into the gap. This ball lifted into the air, into right. Should be easy for Sun and Shine. He's back. He makes the catch for out 3. We play on here in Watertown. We are going to extra innings to decide a winner in this elimination game. Boy, how can you not love the game of baseball? We'll be back in 1 minute's time. Post State looking to take their first lead of the day right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Step up to the plate with Kathy Sunshine Properties in Pierre, your go-to for buying, selling, and finding your perfect home. Whether you're looking for a cozy cottage or a spacious family home, Kathy Sunshine Properties has you covered. We're committed to helping you make your next big move, on the field or in your life. Ready to find your dream home? Call Kathy Sunshine Properties at 605-224-5588. Your home run in real estate.
AGE Corporation has been building South Dakota for over 60 years. For all your site work, construction, and crane needs, AGE is there for you. If you need a boat dock and dock lighting, AGE has what you need. Visit their website, agecorp.com, or give them a call at 223-2732. AGE Corporation, providing high-quality services without sacrificing safety. Visit agecorp.com or call 223-2732.
Welcome back. This is Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. And yes, we are in extra innings in the state baseball tournament. Post 8 and Yankton in the top of the 8th. Post 8 trying to take their first lead of the game. Carter Shovelbein at the plate against Breck Reichen still on the mound. Shovelbein slapping one on the right side. It hangs up there a while, and the pop-up is caught by Easton Fesser. And that'll be out number 1. There's been a lot of those pop-ups today for Post 8 that have cost them on occasion. And we just saw that once again right there. And it's those kinds of small shots that you like to see turned into drilled balls into the outfield. And it just hasn't quite gone that way against Breck Reichen, who's so solid on the mound. Shovelbein's been somewhat frustrated today, has not had a single hit. Dawson gets to the plate. This pitch comes in low. Count goes to 1-0. This is the best part of the order for Pierre Post 8. Getz, Simpson, and Terwilliger, 2, 3, 4, the next 3 up. Getz with a hop skip to third. Here's a throw to first, and it's there in time for a 5-3. Great work on the chopper by Samuel Goki for out number 2. And Getz is just like that retired. So Breck Reichen is not anywhere close to the pitch limit, at least relatively right now, and this is not helping Post 8's cause because even if they can extend it to the top of the 9th, it looks like it's probably still going to be Reichen on the mound, who's been such a problem for Post 8. Simpson at the plate fouls this one off, counts 0-1, and now they'll have to try to do all their damage with 2 outs. Simpson, Terwilliger, and Leimbach, the next 3 due up in the order. Here in extra innings. 0-1 pitch, and that's a strike. Simpson let it go by, and the breaking ball found its mark. Reichen only seems to be getting better in these late stages as to where he somewhat struggled in the middle part of the game. 0-2 pitch, and that's low for ball number 1. Between the next 3 in the order, you do have a triple. That's the only hit, though. Even still, they've had more success from that standpoint than other parts of the order for Pierre Post 8. 1-2 count. That's ball 2. Placed a little bit high by Reichen. And the count goes even. 2 balls, 2 strikes for the catcher. Simpson, remember, can absolutely drill them if given a chance. That's ball 3. He did a smart thing right there and pulled back. Didn't try to overplay it. Didn't try to force it. Very intelligent at the plate is Charlie Simpson. The 3-2. That's a hit by pitch. Caught him on the left side. So the leading run is aboard for Pierre Post 8. Simpson is at first. And maybe if you're looking at it from more of a long-range standpoint, it keeps Reichen in the game. And I think Post 8 would love to find out who's in that bullpen and if it can be exploited. But if they're going to do that, they're going to need some more hits. Cooper Terwilliger is certainly capable of doing just that. Terwilliger already with a triple in this game. There's a strike, a nice breaking ball from Reichen. Count goes to 0-1. Again, Breck Reichen, one of the best pitchers that Yankton has at their disposal. A great pitching team overall. Terwilliger puts this one up in foul ground. First baseman Sheldon wants it. And he makes the catch for out 3. So Terwilliger tried to put a charge into it as he did earlier on, and he could not. And Post 8, once again, frustratingly denied in the top half of an inning. And the score remains 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Will Danberg and Post 8's defense is going to have to step up once again. We'll be back in 1 minute's time on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Are you a farmer in the Highmore area? Do you need a trusted partner for your grain and agronomy needs? Look no further than AgTegra. AgTegra is built on a legacy of farmer-owned cooperatives, providing superior service and relentless innovation for generations. We're committed to your success and the safety of our employees and members. For your grain needs, call Chance Scott at 605-846-1099. And for all your agronomy needs, reach out to Cole Hamlin at 605-871-9572. AgTegra, growing together for generations. Welcome back. This is Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We are in extra innings here in the state tournament between 6th-seeded Pierre and 2nd-seeded Yankton. Bottom half of the 8th inning. Will Danberg still on the mound, but he's got another tough task in front of him, trying to hold Post 12 at bay, a Post 12 roster and lineup that has really given him some struggles in the 6th and 7th, but he's managed to find a way through each time. He has to do that again here in the bottom half of the 8th to keep Pierre Post 8's chances alive as well. It'll be Tate Bestie to lead things off. 7, 8, 9 due up in the order for Yankton Post 12. Post 12 dugout getting vocal, trying to urge on their bestie, Tate Bestie. Count goes to 1-0. Danberg trying to stay focused and locked in. And he almost delivered a hit by pitch. Danberg, not a guy who usually comes out of the bullpen, had to coming into the bottom of the 6th as J.J. Buchholz reached pretty much his pitch limit through the first 5 innings. A lot of that due to a long first inning. And that's what's led to Danberg's involvement in this game. Counts 2-0. There's a strike. Count goes to 2-1. Yankton has been able to get runners on base each time they faced Danberg so far in this game, but they haven't been able to deliver the winning run. Danberg with a 2-1. Here's a comebacker right back to Danberg, who looks down Bestie and throws it over to first for a very easy first out. That was a stone-cold look from Will Danberg, as if to say, I've got it under control. Mark Cathal will be the next man up. Or actually, excuse me, it's another pinch hitter. It's Boston Frick. So Boston Frick's going to come in. Remember, he was a pinch runner for Cathal in the bottom half of the 7th, and now he's coming in as the pinch hitter in this frame. Count goes to 1-0. So Frick is in for Cathal, who is already subbing in for Trey Sagal. That's a check swing. Let's see, appeal to the first base umpire. He calls it a strike. Count goes to 1-1. Great fastball by Will Danberg. This is the weakest part of the order for Yankton, this 7, 8, 9 part. They have not been able to get a lot of leverage against either Danberg or Buchholz. Here's a comebacker again, right back to Danberg. Looks down the batter, throws it over to first for out 2. 2 outs here in this bottom half of the 8th, and Will Danberg is showing his stuff from the defensive side right here. He takes care of Boston Frick. That'll send on Evan Sirk. Number 9 man in the order. Umpire having a quick conversation with Danberg. Wondering if it's about those stairs. Hard to say for sure. Probably just having a quick discussion with the young man. Either way,
Center fielder number 1.
he's got 2 outs here in the bottom half of the 8th. Nobody on base. So he's in a very good position for he and his team. Hasn't had the run support as of late to put his team over the top, but he's been able to keep his team in it. Counts 1-0. And make it 2-0. A little bit low by Danberg. Evan Sirk has struck out looking and flown out to center twice. And Yankton would love to get this back to the top of the order. There's a strike. Good fastball by Danberg. Counts 2-1. Post 8 fans urging him along. Need 2 more of those to bring this game to the 9th. This ball is going to be fouled and head towards the exterior here at the Watertown Baseball Stadium. Count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Danberg trying to finish the job here in the bottom of the 8th. The 2-2. This ball drilled out to center, but Hunsley's there, should be able to make the catch, and he is. That is out number 3. What a masterful pitching performance and defensive performance by Will Danberg and Pierre Post 8 in the bottom half of the 8th inning to keep their hopes alive. We play on. Top half of the 9th inning on the way here in the state tournament in this do-or-die elimination game. Back in 1 minute on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Hello, I'm Pastor Jeff Lathrop of Pierre First United Methodist Church, and I'd like to invite you to join us in person for worship on Sunday mornings at 8:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. You can also join us on Facebook Live or on KCCR 1240 a.m. or 98.9 FM for our Sunday morning broadcast at 11 a.m. Come worship with us at First United Methodist Church, where you will find open hearts, open minds, and open doors.
When you're in town for the big game, why not stay where the view is just as great as the action? American and Fort Pierre sits right on the river, offering beautiful scenery, relaxing comfort, and easy access to the ballpark. After a day at the Diamond, there's nothing better than unwinding by the water, and the American always hits it out of the park. Stay by the river. Stay in comfort. Call 605-223-2358 to book your room today. American, where the river meets relaxation. Welcome back. This is Pierre Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. And we are at the top of the 9th. Extra innings in this elimination game between 6th-seeded Pierre and 2nd-seeded Yankton. 2-2 ball game. Ridge Linebach to lead off. 5, 6, 7 due up in the order for Pierre Post 8. Here's a ground ball to short. Throw to first is going to be in time to Matthew Sheldon for out number 1. And again, Post 8 just can't get any leverage against Breck Reichen, who is still on the mound, but he is running out of pitches here. His pitch count should be at 100. Yankton keeping him on the mound, though, for the time being. They're going to, it looks like, play him out until he's used up all his available pitches. Sutton Sunshine at the plate. If you're Post 8 in this situation, you almost wonder if you just let the ball go by if he's not issuing strikes and see if you can force him to go beyond that pitch count. 1-0. Of course, I'm not a batter, and I'm not going to claim to ever be one. Count goes to 2-0. So I'm not going to tell Sutton Sunshine or anyone else what to do. He does have a single already in this game, though. There's a strike. Counts 2-1. But if Sutton Sunshine, if nothing else, if he can extend this at-bat, it'll put Post 8 in a good spot. Here's a, oh man, just barely missed a fair ball into left field as it bounced to the left of Sam Goki and the third base bag. Count evens at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sun and Shine looking for a second straight hit. And that's ball 3. A little bit outside that time by Breck Reichen. This should, in theory, put him above his pitch count, or his pitch limit, I should say. And this would likely be the last batter he would face. Counts at 3-2. Sun and Shine with a bloop shot into right center field. And the right fielder, Easton Fesser, makes the catch for out number 2.
That is 106 pitches.
So that will indeed do it for Breck Reichen. He is forcibly subbed out due to reaching the pitch limit. 2 down here in this top half of the 9th inning. Sutton Sun and Shine will be the last batter that Reichen faces. And now we'll have to see what Yankton's got in that dugout. It's been a long time, or rather bullpen. It's been a long time waiting to see who that next pitcher is going to be, and we're finally going to get an answer. Breck Reichen finishes with 8 2/3 innings pitched, just 1 earned run given up, 4 strikeouts. What a performance by him today. No matter what happens from here on out, he is definitely an MVP of this game. New pitcher for Yankton is going to be Tate Bestie. So Bestie will make his way to the mound. Reichen will take over as the shortstop.
And moving from shortstop to the mound, the new Yankton pitcher, number 25, Tate Bestie.
Now, Bestie so far this season does have plenty of experience. 20 1/3 innings pitched, a 1-1 record overall on the season, and a total, or excuse me, Yes, a 1-1 record on the season. He's also got 8 saves as well. Has allowed just 2 earned runs this year with 5 strikeouts and a .68 ERA. So he's been tremendous, as the stats obviously tell you. However, Post State right now, after what they just saw with Riken, they're probably thinking it can't get much harder than what we already have, so let's just attack this with everything we've got. Trevor Rounds to the plate, 2 outs here in the top of the 9th. Post State trying to get their first lead of the game, and first pitch by Bestie is a great curveball in for a strike, counts 0-1. We'll see if he goes back to that, but it's a beauty of a curveball if he wants to keep using it. And he delivered it once again, counts 0-2. That is a really hard pitch to try to do anything with, and Trevor Rounds has let it go by twice, and to no avail. Counts 0-2, in danger of yet another 1-2-3 inning for Pierre Post State. This time, Bestie cannot quite put it in the zone. Counts 1-2. Placed it a little bit high this time. 1-2 pitch. And a little hesitation from Rounds. He let it go by. It was a good decision. Counts 2-2. It was just outside that far corner of the zone. Count at 2-2. And just barely making contact with that ball as Trevor Rounds caught a very small piece of it. Just enough to keep this at-bat alive for the moment. It's been a marathon of a game so far. That's ball 3. Bestie putting in a little bit outside. So now we have a full count at 3-2 coming up. Porter Hunsley is on deck if Post State can make it to him in this top of the 9th. 3-2. Swing and a miss for Trevor Rounds. Caught nothing but oxygen. And Tate Bestie, so far, mission accomplished. Here to get things started in this 9th inning. He gets the inning-ending K on Rounds. Brings this game to the bottom of the 9th. Again, Post State 1-2-3. They just have not been able to do much of anything against Yankton in this late stage of the game. It's up to Will Danberg and company once again here in this bottom half of the 9th inning. We'll be back in 1 minute's time on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports for more extra innings action.
Step up to the plate with Overhead Door Company of Pierre. Like your favorite team, we deliver reliability, strength, and top-notch performance. For over 100 years, Overhead Door has been the most respected name in the industry. From commercial or residential repairs to full upgrades, our team of technicians stand ready to provide winning results. Don't let a faulty garage door strike you out. Look for the signature red ribbon and call the industry MVP at 605-224-6200. Bring your garage door game to the big leagues.
Is your roof ready for the next South Dakota storm? Don't wait till it's too late. For over 25 years, Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction has been serving Central South Dakota with quality roofing and construction. He has now added gutters. We offer dependable service, guaranteed workmanship, and no unnecessary flash or fuss. Just reliable protection for your home. Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction. Experience you can trust. Call today, 605-280-8133. Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction, serving Central South Dakota for over 25 years.
Welcome back. This is Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Yes, we are still playing baseball here in Watertown. It is the bottom of the 9th between 6th-seeded Pierre and 2nd-seeded Yankton. And it usually doesn't get to the bottom of the 9th. I know that seems like pretty common terminology, but not in Legion baseball. Don't see this too often. Bottom of the 9th in the state tournament. Both teams trying to keep their state tournament hopes alive. Samuel Goki will lead things off against Will Danberg. 1-2-3 due up in the order for Yankton Post 12. Danberg has settled in nicely in this late stage of the game, had a brilliant bottom of the 8th, and now he's going to have to give Post State even more leeway to get this game to the top of the 10th and keep their hopes going. And that's going to be a foul ball. Counts 0-2. Good start for Danberg against this very dangerous part of the order for Yankton. And I got to say, no matter what happens from here on out, both of these teams are playing some championship baseball with what we've seen on the defensive side so far in this game. 0-2 pitch. It's high and outside. Count goes to 1-2. Danberg subbed in for J.J. Buchholz in the bottom of the 6th. I'm sure that he didn't expect to still be playing around 3:30 Central Time here today, but that's the kind of affair we've got. 1-2. And trying to chase after that ball and grabbing it with the barrel was Samuel Goki, but unable to put it in the field of play, fouls it off, keeps the count at 1-2 for Yankton. Do or die elimination game. The winner plays tomorrow at 1 o'clock against the loser of Rapid City Post 320 and Renner. And that pitch is low. Count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yankton upset by Harrisburg last night, 8-0. Post 8 unable to hang with Watertown. Post 17, the host team, losing by a score of 5-2. Both these teams equally deserving of moving on and playing Thursday. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's another foul ball by Goki. We've said it before, but he is not a guy to go down easily. He's only been grounded out once today. Otherwise, he's reached on a walk, a hit by pitch, and a single. So he's done it in just about every way that you can. That's why he's the leadoff hitter in the order, because he can do things like that. Danberg with a 2-2. Here's a softly hit ball left side. Throw to first by Stoscher. Did not make it in time. Goki beat out the throw with an incredible hit towards the left side of the field. Stoscher did what he could to get to that baseball, but Goki hit it in such a good spot that Stoscher really didn't have a chance to get it to first base in time despite his best efforts. And instead of out number 1, there's a runner on first. The winning run for Yankton is aboard. So Goki at first base with Matthew Sheldon at the plate. He's been a little less dangerous than Goki so far. Popped one up his last time up. Here's a throw back to first. Remember, Goki has been caught stealing once in this game, so Post 8 wise to try that strategy once again. And I think that the question that a lot of Post 8 fans and Yankton fans are asking is, how long can the line hold? How long can we keep our opponent from scoring a run? There's no way to know that for sure, but at some point, the dam has got to burst, and that's what we're trying to discover here, is when exactly that's going to happen. Play stops for a moment here as Goki wants his helmet to be looked at, it appears. Wants a new helmet. Didn't like the one he was using. Not sure if that was causing him some irritation or whatever the case, but had to swap out the helmet and get some suspended animation on the field, and just the most important game of the year for both of these two teams. Sheldon with a 1-0 count against Will Danberg. No outs here in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Danberg again tries to throw back to first. That was low. Good work by Cooper Twilliger to not let that ball escape his sight. You do not want to put Goki at second base if you can help it. We know Goki will probably try to steal second base if he can help it, though, in this next swing. And that pitch by Danberg low. Count goes to 2-0. Will Danberg is one of those guys that you've got confidence in if you're River Iverson, but this is territory that you don't want to put your pitcher in. However, the situation has called for it here today, and Danberg has so far been able to live up to the hype. There's a strike. Count goes to 2-1. He's going to need more of those against Sheldon, Fesser, and Johnson coming up. Post 8 would love to have a ground out into a double play here for Sheldon. The biggest thing is you don't want one to head to the sky unless it's going to be caught. Counts at 2-1. Danberg placed it high and inside. Count goes to 3-1. And this is where you've got to be careful and make sure that you get in the strike zone, because if you don't, it would put a runner on first and second for Yankton with no outs, and then they could try the bunt strategy and make things really troublesome. Count at 3-1. There's a strike. Count goes to 3-2. Good fastball by Danberg. Way to readjust that pitch after his last ball. And now he's got a full count. 3-2 pitch on the way for Sheldon. Danberg taking all the time he needs here. The 3-2. That's high, it's ball 4. And moving on to first base is Matthew Sheldon. Runners at first and second for Yankton Post 12. And now the pressure becomes that much more magnified on Will Danberg and this Post 8 team. And it appears that River Iverson is going to make a visit on the mound here. So now we'll see what Iverson wants to do. I would suspect we're not going to see any sort of pitching change, even at this juncture. Danberg's still well within his pitch count to do that, or pitch total. However, you got to make sure your pitcher's in the right state of mind here and in the right position to keep your team in this game, because this is do or die for your season. So you've got to do everything that you can to make sure he doesn't give up that winning run. And with a runner in scoring position and no outs, we know that Yankton has every incentive to send one deep into the outfield, get a runner on third, and then do that again with one out and win the game. That is very much in the realm of possibility. They've got pretty strong members of the order coming up. Easton Fesser chief among those. And add on to it, he's a lefty batter. So it's an even tougher matchup for a right-handed pitcher like Will Danberg. Fesser got a single his last time up. That's his lone hit of the game so far. But it may not be his last. Runners at first and at second. Danberg places this pitch high. Count goes to 1-0. Could not quite get that one in the zone, and he's had issues hitting the strike zone as of late in this game. Keeping a close eye at second. Swing and a miss. There's a nice adjustment on that pitch. Count goes to 1-1. Post 8, if they can make it through this bottom of the ninth, they'll have a relatively new pitcher in Tate Bestie waiting on them, which could be a big thing for them. Get a guy who's not as proven as Beck Reichen in this game, and maybe gives you a little more reason to be confident, but you got to make it to that point. Bunts being shown here. Post 8's ready for it. They're playing up. This ball popped up and fouled. Post 8 was hoping and praying that was going to land in the infield and they'd have a chance to maybe make a play on it, or rather to stay in the air on the infield. Didn't end up working out that way. Counts 1-2. That would be disastrous for Yankton if it ended up like that, and Post 8 maybe even got a double play out of it. But not yet. Counts 1-2. Will Fesser try the bunt again? Not showing it. He may pull back into it, though. He's not going to. It's a ground ball to first. Terwilliger taps the bag. He is going to take the out at first and keep it there. Runners at second and third now for Yankton. So he didn't try for the double play. Sometimes you're better off doing that sort of thing. However, in this situation, now Yankton just needs one ball into the outfield and they win this game. So Charlie Simpson was going to have a brief discussion with Danberg, at least momentarily.
Being given first base on an intentional walk.
And now we're going to have an intentional walk. So it looks like Gavin Johnson is going to make his way over to first. So Post 8 with the intentional walk, allowing Johnson to load the bases for Yankton with one out. That'll send on Beck Reichen. Now Reichen's had a up and down day, but he does have a double in this game already and has forced a walk. And remember, a walk in this situation would give Yankton the win. So Will Danberg has no choice in this spot but to target that strike zone. This is for the season for Pierre Post 8. It hasn't been more dire in this game than it is right now. Danberg puts it in for a strike. Count goes to 0-1. So much pressure, so much energy on this moment for Will Danberg and Pierre Post 8. Again, any ball that is hit into the outfield would win this game, it would look like, especially with the winning run currently at third base. Post 8's got to make sure to do that or their season is over. That pitch is low, away from the zone. Count goes to 1-1. Will Danberg so far hasn't been a huge strikeout guy, which is something that Post 8 probably needs more than anything right now, but he's not a huge K guy. He usually lets the ball get in play and then Post State gets the out, but if that happens, you're going to have to target home. Count goes to 2-1. Danberg has not managed a single strikeout since coming into this game, as a matter of fact. So that is an unfortunate note to keep in mind if you're a Post State fan. Count is at 2-1. And that is a great fastball by Danberg. Just caught the top part of the zone. Count goes to 2-2. Post State fans clapping along Danberg, trying to will him to a K. Two-two count. This ball fouled. It was looking a little dangerous off the bat for Riken, but it couldn't quite find its spot towards the infield, or the outfield, I should say. Keeps the count at 2-2. How does Danberg deal with this sort of pressure in this situation? Will he use the fastball here to try to get the strikeout? We're going to find out. And, another foul ball, just catching a piece of that was Riken. That's one that he maybe didn't have to swing at, but he decided to. Almost cost him a K, but just managed to grab a piece of that baseball, keeping the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. And time called by Riken. Wants to take a moment to get his gloves in order, get everything aligned for himself. For these high school kids, this moment, it's probably as dramatic and as stressful as anything they've ever experienced in their young lives. So much training, a lifetime of training. It boils down to moments like this. 2-2. And that's called for ball 3. Home plate umpire didn't award it to him. So this is it. Do or die, full count. 3-2, 1 out. A ball wins the game for Yankton and sends Pierre home. A strikeout is out number 2 here in the bottom of the 9th. This is for it all. 3-2. This ball drilled into left field, and that's going to win the game for Yankton. Walk-off RBI single for Beck Riken, and Post 12 ends Post State's season by a score of 3-2 in extra innings.
Yankton in the 9th, 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 3 runners left.
And it's only fitting that Beck Riken, of all people, is the one to end this thing for Pierre Post State, considering what he did today. A masterful pitching performance throughout all but a couple of 2/3 of an inning in this game is going to be what decides it. A 3-2 Yankton victory. Post 12 will move on to play tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And Post State becomes the 2nd team eliminated in the South Dakota Legion Baseball State Tournament here in the 2025 season. And it is a disappointing loss, but what an effort and what a game that Post State showed all the way through. And it's unfortunate that in this kind of contest, only one team can walk away the victory. And unfortunately today, Post State was the team that ended up on the bad side of that masterful game. But it is not something to hang their heads about, and especially not for Will Danberg, who put up such a great spirited fight towards the end. Credit to J.J. Buchholz as well on his great pitching performance, and credit to this Post State team all the way through. What a season they have had. What a season to remember. Getting back to the state tournament for the first time in 3 years. A lot to be proud of, and although things didn't go the way they were hoping for in the state tournament, they are a team that will not be soon forgotten and will always be cherished by the folks of the capital city area. We'll take a 2-minute timeout, and we'll wrap up the season for Pierre Post State when we come back with our KCCR Sports Postgame Show. You won't want to miss it. Back in 2 minutes on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through the extreme seasons we've grown to love. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. Their ASE certified mechanics can make your AC cool again, or even just change your oil. They can look into and fix those noises that seem to come from nowhere and have you stressed out. Bring your car to Graham Tire so they can put your mind at ease. Graham Tire, your tire store next door.
Since the day First Fidelity Bank first opened its doors for business in 1905, we've served the credit and investment needs of this area. The money that's deposited with us is reinvested locally in the form of loans to area families, farms, and small businesses, where it can help create new opportunities for everyone in our community. First Fidelity Bank, first-class banking on a first-name basis. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Online at ffb-sd.com.
Want technology solutions you can trust from a neighbor you know? Comtech, locally owned and serving Pierre and surrounding area since 2009, is dedicated to keeping your home, farm, and business connected and secure. We offer a full range of services, from audio and video, security, surveillance, and networking with expert installation and support. Visit our storefront, call us at 605-224-4066, or visit our website, comtechplus.com, to experience the Comtech difference. Comtech, your local technology experts.
Hey, yo, Speedo's Lawn Care.
Hello. Say, my yard's in rough shape. It's got weeds, brown spots, and crabgrass.
Yeah, no problemo. What shade of green you need? We got 31 shades of green over here. Even the latest shade of septic tank grass green. That one just naturally gives off a glow.
Call the professionals at True Green. They know how to get your lawn healthy and keep it healthy. They guarantee it. All technicians are trained and certified.
Call True Green, 224-1916.
Welcome back to Watertown. Dylan Simmons on the call, and the season has unfortunately come to a close for Pierre Post State, losing in extra innings in the ninth inning to Yankton Post 12 by a score of 3-2 on a walk-off RBI single just moments ago. But one of the best state tournament games you'll ever see, and it's, again, just unfortunate that one team has to lose, and unfortunately today that team was Pierre Post State. Let's go over some final stats for both sides. We're going to start things off with Yankton Post 12. They had multi-hit games, I should say, from Sam Goki as well as Breck Reichen, including that walk-off RBI single. Reichen, no doubt the player of the game. 3 RBIs on the day, including that walk-off single, as well as an incredible pitching performance. Ended up going 8 2/3 with just 1 earned run given up, 4 strikeouts. If you want to look for the biggest reason why Yankton won this game, look no further than what Breck Reichen was able to do. Tate Bestie cleaned up for the final third of an inning with just 1 strikeout in that time, but it was a obviously very necessary strikeout and pretty good for just a third of an inning, right? Meanwhile, for Pierre Post State, they had 1 double hit or 1 multi-hit performance from Porter Hunsley in this game. He managed 2 hits and 1 run. Sutton Sunshine as well with 1 hit. Cooper Terwilliger also with a hit. Dawson Getz had a hit and an RBI, but otherwise it was somewhat of a quiet day for Post State. They had 5 total hits, which is worlds better than what they did yesterday against Watertown with just the 1-hit performance. But unfortunately, in this low-scoring game, it just wasn't quite enough to put them over the top against Yankton Post 12. And really, the lack of scoring late in the game hurt Post State down the stretch and kept them from an opportunity to close out this game much earlier than what it did. And I'm sure that's something that's going to be tough for the Post State players to stomach and think about in the months and days to come. But the thing about it is, for Post State, as we've said all season long, they've had a sensational year. They've really revitalized Legion baseball for themselves and for future generations, and the future's looking bright. There are so many great teams involved with Post State that are waiting in the wings, such as the 14U team, which just recently won a state championship. A lot of other teams for the Post State program in the state tournament, competing and doing well. There's a lot to look forward to with this Pierre Post State program, and under River Iverson, I'd imagine that this is just the first step in what's going to be a long line and a long lineage of championships and success. So we will hopefully see that in the years to come for this Pierre Post State baseball team. By the way, pitching stats for Pierre Post State, J.J. Buchholz went 5 innings with 2 earned runs given up and 5 strikeouts. Reached his pitch limit pretty early on in the game, and a lot of that has to do with a 30-plus inning or 30-plus pitch pitches that he delivered in the first inning. Don't know what I was trying to say there. He had 30-plus pitches in the first inning is the bottom line, and that eventually kind of led to his pitch count getting inflated and eventually him having to exit the game early due to reaching that pitch limit. Will Danberg will be credited with the loss, but he is the furthest thing from a loser with what he was able to do down the stretch. 3 1/3 innings pitched, no strikeouts, but only 3 walks issued and just 1 earned run given up. He played a heck of a game and did everything he could to keep Post State in it down the stretch, but unfortunately he just couldn't hold down the fort forever, and Yankton eventually was able to overcome Danberg and get that final RBI single to win this game and move on to tomorrow, where they will play the loser of Rapid City Post 320 and Renner right back here at 1 o'clock. As for Post State, their season comes to an end, but what a season it was, what a performance they gave us today, and what memories that we'll all share of this Post State teams in the years to come. So thank you, Post State, for a great year all year long, and thank you as well to all of you listening in. We hope you've enjoyed our broadcast here on KCCR. It's been a lot of fun to be involved with Legion Baseball for the first time, and it's been a great experience getting to know this Post State team, see them in person, and getting to call their awesome baseball games. So looking forward to seeing more of that as the years go by for Pierre Post State. I'm sure there are going to be a lot more great stories to tell in the years to come. But thank you all so much for listening in. Remember, we'll have a full recap of this game tomorrow on the KCCR Morning Show. Tune in bright and early at 6 a.m. I'll be on the call for that. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you there. So for my friend Emma back at the station, for all of you listening in at home, I am Dylan Simmons saying so long from Watertown, where your final score and extra innings in the state tournament elimination game is second-seeded Yankton 3, sixth-seeded Pierre 2. This has been a presentation of KCCR Pierre, a Riverfront broadcasting station. Thank you all so much